Chapter 1071. The Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication was a restaurant located on the outskirts of the capital. It was a first-class restaurant in the Guanyin Empire and had branches in all the cities under the jurisdiction of the Guanyin Empire. Long Ming brought Hui Yun to the Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication without stopping. However, Lu Chantian was nowhere to be seen in the crowd. Hui Yun was stunned when she saw the people coming and going in front of the Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication. She had expected the Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication to be popular. After all, it was in the capital, but she didn't expect it to be this popular. There was a long line on the other side of the Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication. It was obvious that this group of people was waiting to eat. The Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication in your capital is really popular. It can actually make so many people wait. She couldn't help but exclaim at Long Ming when she saw this scene. However, Hui Yun didn't notice that Long Ming, who was from the capital, was also dumbfounded when he saw this scene. What's going on? He recalled that he hadn't been back for a while. Back then, although the Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication was popular, it wasn't popular enough to make everyone wait. He nodded at Hui Yun and stopped a young man. He asked, "Little brother, what's going on? I don't remember the Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication being so popular 2 or 3 years ago." The young man, stopped by Long Ming, was startled when he saw that Long Ming was listening to him. Then he nodded. "No wonder. I haven't been back for 2 or 3 years. A year ago, a female chef suddenly came to the Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication. Not only did she look like a fairy, but her cooking was also very memorable. Anyone who ate her food wouldn't be able to eat anything else. Damn, there's such a thing." Long Ming was shocked. He deeply suspected that the young man in front of him was exaggerating. It was fine if she was good-looking, but if they couldn't eat other people's food after eating her food, then this matter was worth investigating. After all, it sounded like he didn't believe it. "Hey, don't stop me. I have to line up. Otherwise, I won't be able to get in." Seeing that Long Ming did not speak, the young man became anxious. He slapped Long Ming's hand away and prepared to leave. "Oh, that's right. The female chef at Heavenly Fragrance Intoxication only cooks enough food for 100 people every day. She starts at 5 o'clock in the afternoon every day. According to the current time, it should have just started. If you want, the queue now is still." Halfway through his sentence, the young man paused. His entire body froze in midair as he stared at the queue that was already far away in the distance. "Look, it's all because of you. If it weren't for you, I might have been ranked." At this moment, there were already a lot of people in the queue. Not to mention 1,000 people, there were already more than 200 people. Most importantly, there weren't so many people when he saw it just now. "Madam, what do you think of us?" Long Ming's heart throbbed a little when he saw this. After all, his pursuit of delicacies was very good. When he saw such a good meal, he also wanted to try it. However, when he thought of Hui Yun's existence, he immediately suppressed this thought. He immediately turned around and planned to change to another restaurant. However, who would have thought that when he turned around, Hui Yun's figure was nowhere to be seen. The place was completely empty. Long Ming was dumbfounded. Where did she go? Looking at his subordinates, Long Ming roared. Hui Yun's life was more important than their group. Even a strand of her hair was more important than their lives. "That young master, madam, is over there." At this moment, one of his subordinates saw his young master's anxious appearance. He immediately raised his hand and pointed at Hui Yun, who was in the queue. "Amen?" As he spoke, he looked in the direction his subordinate was pointing at. He saw that Hui Yun was already in the middle of the queue. Furthermore, she seemed to be at the very front. She just so happened to be within the 100 people. "Damn, what's going on?" Long Ming didn't understand. He immediately went forward and arrived in front of Hui Yun. He said respectfully, "Madam, what are you? Aren't you going to eat? Seeing that you were chatting happily with someone over there, I didn't want to disturb you." This. Hui Yun's words were very calm. However, to Long Ming's ears, it was very ear-piercing. "Madam, you don't have to line up. I'll get my subordinates to line up. Let's go to the tea house opposite and rest. When it's time, we'll get them to inform you." "No, there's no need." Hearing Long Ming's words, Hui Yun was stunned. She looked embarrassed. Of course, of course. As he spoke, he glanced at his subordinates behind him. That subordinate was quite smart. He quickly came in front of Huiyun and replaced Huiyun. Madam, let's go. As he spoke, Long Ming automatically went to the left side of Huiyun. After a long journey and contact, Long Ming was basically used to the current position. He must have said that he liked the current situation very much in the past. In the past, because of the orders, he lived very tirelessly. Now, he was much happier. Go pack up all the delicious food on the street and send it to me. How can there be no snacks for afternoon tea? Yes, I'll go right away. A group of more than 30 people received Long Ming's order and began to sweep the entire street in a sweeping manner. In this regard, the passers-by who heard Long Ming's words were all stunned. However, everyone paid the most attention to Huiyun, who was sitting on a chair. They had never heard of Huiyun in the capital. However, to be able to have such an extravagant display, she must not be an ordinary person. Huiyun was very helpless about Long Ming's arrangement. Damn, more than 30 people went out. Isn't it just to drink tea and wait for the arrival? You ask people to bring back so many things. Are you not going to let me eat? Are you going to say that you want to monopolize the food cooked by that female chef? Of course, this idea was just a joke. She understood that Long Ming was able to do this completely because of Lu Chongtian's deterrence and the prestige of her son. In the end, after shaking her head helplessly, she had nothing else to say. She could only sit obediently and drink tea. After a while, more than 30 people came back with bags of various sizes in their hands. They placed the things in their hands on the table. Of course, one table was not enough. Then, Long Ming put the surrounding 4 tables together. This was just enough. Madam, please try first. These are all very famous snacks in the capital of Guanyin Empire. As he spoke, Long Ming opened the bags one by one like a servant and placed them in front of Huiyun. His expression was full of anticipation as he led Huiyun to taste. Sit down and eat too. There's no one else here. After following for so long, you must be tired. Moreover, pointing at the food on the table, Huiyun continued, there's so much food. I can't finish it alone. Why don't we eat together? As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. This is not good, Long Ming said in advance. However, although he said so, his body was very honest. He picked up a piece of good food and ate it. As for the others, they were still waiting for their young master's order. After all, as frightening people, if they ate at the same table as the host, it would be a big taboo unless the host agreed. Okay, don't be stunned. Let's eat together. Chapter 1072. Upon receiving their young master's order, the group of servants rushed forward like wolves and tigers. They seemed to have forgotten that Huiyun was beside them. They kept stuffing food into their mouths as if they had been gluttons for hundreds of lifetimes. Boss, give us some more tea. One of the men seemed to have choked on his food and said to the boss of the tea house. Then, he joined in the gluttons again. Long Ming saw his subordinate's behavior and smiled awkwardly and elegantly. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he wanted to remind them. Forget it, let them eat. They have suffered a lot during this period of time. Since we are already in the capital, it doesn't matter. Huiyun seemed to have sensed Long Ming's thoughts and actions. She didn't wait for him to speak and spoke first. Her face was full of smiles. She was very happy to see them eating and didn't feel bad about it. This okay. He cast a grateful look at Huiyun and didn't say anything else. He continued his, how should he put it? A moment ago, he wanted to restrain his subordinates, but in the next moment, he joined in the group of gluttons. He didn't have the grace and elegance of a young master from a large family. Huiyun didn't think much of Long Ming and the others' behavior. Of course, this was because Huiyun treated them as her own people, although they had treated the Lin family badly. After interacting with them for a period of time, she understood that Long Ming wasn't a murderous person. He just had to do it because of the threat from the powerful force behind him. Huiyun understood this point very well. Of course, the most important thing was their attitude towards her. Therefore, she was able to resolve their crimes. It had to be said that the strength of more than 30 people was really too strong. The food that was put together by the four tables was destroyed bit by bit under the actions of the group of people. In just a short hour, the snacks that were brought back previously were all gone. Even the teapot, the table, and the ground were like a small mountain. Their fighting strength was terrifying. Burp. Perhaps it was because they ate too quickly, or perhaps it was because they didn't eat well before, but when they ate these things, they couldn't control themselves and ate until they were full. He burped, and in the next moment, he realized that something was wrong with him. Then, he bowed to Huiyun awkwardly. Madam, I'm really sorry. I accidentally, Long Ming scratched his head and stood there awkwardly. He was like a child who had made a mistake and was waiting for an adult to reprimand him. At this moment, more than 30 people stopped what they were doing. It wasn't that they wanted to listen, but these snacks were too delicious. However, they had no choice. They had no choice but to stop because the bag was empty. Everything inside had been wiped clean by them. Looking at everyone's appearance, especially Long Ming's appearance, Huiyun could not help but laugh out loud. It had to be said that the appearance of a woman who cultivated did not change much. Although Huiyun was in her 40s, her appearance was only in her 20s or 30s. Especially her face, it could be said that a smile could topple a country and a city. It's okay. Just eat well. If it's not enough, go buy more. Anyway, Chantian is not back yet. We're not in a hurry. Besides, after saying that, she turned her head to look at the restaurant opposite the tea house. At this moment, half an hour had passed. The entrance of the restaurant was still crowded with people. However, fortunately, the person who saw her slap to line up had found the second person. We haven't eaten yet. We can't just go and eat and let them wait, right? This sentence was sincere. Huiyun treated this group of people as her own people. Yes. Huiyun's words made Long Ming feel warm in his heart. It was also because of Huiyun's temper that he had the impulse to stay by her side and serve her for a long time. Of course, in addition to this reason, the most important reason was that super strong person who had never shown his face. Young master. Hurry, it's finally our turn. Just as Long Ming was thinking, a voice came from outside the door. Oh, he was very familiar with this voice. He turned his head to look at the opposite side. Sure enough, the person he had slapped became the first person. Madam, let's go quickly. Let's see what's so special about this female chef. After saying that, he came behind Huiyun and led her to move. Let's go. To be honest, Huiyun had been hungry for a long time, especially when she saw more than 30 people eating. She did not eat much just now. She only ate 2 pieces and drank some tea. She got up and walked towards the door. Oh, by the way, if you're still hungry, find a place to sit down and send someone to buy some good food. If you don't have enough money, after saying that, she took out a black card and handed it to Long Ming. Eat well. Otherwise, you'll think that the Lin family doesn't have the money to feed you. She stopped in her tracks and turned around to speak to the 30 people behind her. Her words had implicitly made this group of people into the Lin family. Yes, here. Hurry up and buy some food. Sit down and eat slowly. Don't look like a reincarnated hungry ghost. It's embarrassing. Long Ming did not reject the card that Huiyun handed to him. He took it and handed it to his subordinate. This action had undoubtedly made him a member of the Lin family. Young master, you seem to have. At this moment, the subordinate who took the card muttered softly. Damn it, hurry up. How could Long Ming allow him to say that? He did not wait for the subordinate to finish speaking and interrupted him. Huiyun could not help but laugh at this scene. She thought about Long Ming's previous state. He did not lose out to the 30 people at all. Look, this group of little brats. Huiyun's smile made Long Ming's face turn red. He subconsciously remembered this subordinate who had muttered, Let's go. Without stopping, she led Long Ming to the disciple who was in the queue. Madam, young master, you're here. The man looked very obedient. The moment Huiyun and the others arrived, he bowed and greeted them. That's enough. You can go too. Follow them and buy whatever they like to eat. We still need some time to eat. You've worked hard during this time. Before Long Ming could speak, Huiyun spoke first. Okay. That's all, madam. Huiyun's attitude surprised the man. He bowed and thanked her before hurriedly leaving. Next, the man had just left. Huiyun and the others had just stood still when the waiter in the restaurant walked out to announce the next person to eat in the restaurant. Oh, what a coincidence. We don't have to wait anymore. Long Ming smiled at the waiter's announcement. Hey man, let's go. Chapter 1073. When they entered the restaurant, the gorgeous decorations and the chaotic noises were very disproportionate. The moment they entered the restaurant, Long Ming was stunned on the spot. His expression was full of disbelief. F***CK. When he came back to his senses, the people who were eating near Long Ming turned their heads and glanced at him. Then, they returned to normal. Why? Is there something wrong? At the side, Huiyun saw that Long Ming's expression was a little abnormal. She frowned and asked warily. In such a big country, Huiyun did not think that everywhere was a good place. The more this kind of place was, the more cautious they had to be. No, nothing. It's just, as he spoke, he looked at the decorations around him. Maybe it's because I haven't been back for a long time. When I left, this place was not like this. Thinking back, when they left, this heavenly fragrance intoxication's decorations were still simple, plain, and grand. How did it become so vulgar in just a few years? However, I like it. Long Ming liked this kind of decorations very much. Previously, he ate here purely because the food was delicious. But now it was different. Not only did the decorations become what he liked, but if the dishes were still the same as before, it would be perfect. Let's go. Knowing that Long Ming was fine, Huiyun relaxed a little. Then, under the guidance of the waiter, Huiyun and Long Ming came to a table by the window on the second floor. Please wait for a moment. I'll go and order the menu for you two. If you want a drink, you can call me. With that, he planned to leave before Huiyun and the others could say anything. The waiter's actions completely stunned Huiyun and Long Ming. Long Ming's face was written with the words, F***CK. Are you kidding me? My bad temper. Long Ming was very unhappy with the waiter's attitude. What's wrong? Do you think we don't have status or something? You don't even want us to look at the menu. Just eat whatever you serve, right? Hey, can you do it? We haven't even ordered, and you're already serving us. What's wrong? Are you looking down on us? Or are you afraid that we can't afford to pay you? This time, Long Ming did not restrain his voice. Suddenly, the entire second floor became completely silent. Everyone's eyes were completely focused on Huiyun and Long Ming. Their expressions were as if they were looking at an idiot, and there were even some whose eyes flashed with sympathy. Huiyun was stunned by this, and subconsciously felt that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. Long Ming, you should leave. This matter may not be as simple as you think, Huiyun said. But Long Ming did not dare to disobey Huiyun's words. However, when he was about to say something, he saw the strange gazes of the people around him. He immediately suppressed what he wanted to say. All right, he immediately appeared behind Huiyun. Perhaps it was an instinctive reaction that caused Long Ming to misunderstand Huiyun's words. I didn't make you laugh. I'm telling you to stop talking. I'll say it. Looking at Long Ming behind her, Huiyun was speechless. Huiyun's words caused Long Ming to be stunned. Then he scratched his head awkwardly and returned to his seat. She glanced at Long Ming. Then, her gaze landed on the waiter. Little brother, the two of us just entered the city and did not understand the rules of eating here. So, if we offended you just now, please forgive us. Madam, Huiyun lowered her posture, causing Long Ming to be stunned. Since when did the young master of the Long family need to care about the attitude of a waiter like this? However, when the waiter heard Huiyun's words, his expression softened a little. He nodded in understanding and explained, I see. Perhaps the two of you do not know, but Tianxiang Zue is different now, especially after Tianxiang's master came. The reason why I did not give you a menu and directly placed an order was not because I looked down on the two of you. When he spoke, he emphasized the word look down as if he was deliberately saying it for Long Ming to hear. It's just that Tianxiang's master's rule is that the customer must eat whatever she cooks. So, I'm very sorry that I did not make it clear before. Hearing this, Hui Yun nodded in understanding. As for Long Ming, he was even more surprised. It was not easy for such a rule to continue in the capital. One had to know that one could casually meet relatives of the imperial family or disciples of clans on the streets of the capital. With such a character, to be able to survive until now and not be destroyed by those young masters, one could imagine that Tianxiang's background was not simple. Long Ming was not stupid. When he heard this, he understood that Tianxiang had changed. It seemed that it was no longer the Tianxiang before they left. All right, go and place the order. We'll wait. Huya nodded and quieted down. When this scene appeared, the surrounding gazes returned to normal and returned to normal. Long Ming, you have to understand that although you spoke here, you did not return from inside. Everything might not be under your control, so you have to be careful. Moreover, Tianxiang is not by your side. What if you offend someone you can't afford to offend? What do you think will happen? That's right. He had not returned for many years. He did not know what the capital had become. Thinking of this, Long Ming lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong. All right, you don't have to be like this. Just be more careful next time. Seeing Long Ming's dejected appearance, Hui Yun smiled and did not say anything else. The two of them fell silent. Hui Yun turned her head to look at the busy streets outside the window. Looking at this place that she should not have any interaction with, her heart was filled with a myriad of thoughts. Oh, young Master Lu is here. At the entrance of Tianxiang, a man walked in with an enchanting figure in his arms. With heavy makeup, one could tell at a glance that she was not from a good family. 5 followers followed behind him. When a waiter saw the man and his group, he hurriedly led the way with a fawning expression, and very sensible. The man's face was filled with a smug smile. Same old place. All right, the waiter replied and led the man to the second floor. Along the way, he nodded and bowed like a lackey. Under the waiter's lead, the man and his group stopped in front of Hui Yun and Long Ming. At this moment, when a man saw that his seat was occupied, his face darkened. He turned his head to look at the waiter and coldly said, "What's going on? Since when can people like this touch my seat?" And the man's words caused the silent Hui Yun and Long Ming to turn their heads. The moment they saw the man, Long Ming was stunned. Looking at the man, 10,000 curses ran through his mind. Motherf asterisk Kerr. This Motherf asterisk Kerr just came back, and I already met an old acquaintance. As the former #1 hedonistic son of the capital, he naturally recognized the man in front of him. Lu Tianxiang, the second young master of the Lu clan, who was on par with the Long clan. He had a fiery temperament, and his character, no comment. Oh, isn't this Long Ming, young Master Long? Looking at Long Ming, Lu Tianxiang was also stunned. His face was filled with amusement. Chapter 1074. Huiyin saw the two greeting each other. She looked at Long Ming and asked, "Do you know each other?" "Madam, this is the young master of the Lu family in the capital. He is famous for his hospitality." Long Ming looked at Huiyin and replied. He emphasized the word hospitality. Anyone who understood would understand what he meant. All right, since that's the case, let's get rid of him quickly. She understood what Long Ming meant. After that, she stopped talking and focused her attention on the street outside. Huiyun's words didn't reach Lu Tianxiang. After hearing these words, Lu Tianxiang's expression turned gloomy. At this moment, he felt like he was being ignored. As the grand young master of the Lu clan, he couldn't tolerate being ignored today. Do you know who I am? Since you dare to treat me like this, do you believe that I will kill you in a matter of minutes? As soon as he said this, the place quieted down. Everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Tianxiang and his group. Damn, Lu Tianxiang. Who the hell is this? He actually dared to provoke this shameless person. He's too powerful. That's right. Lu Tianxiang is famous for being shameless and hedonistic. Now, because his elder sister obtained the emperor's favor, his status has risen. I really don't know who can suppress him. Shoo! Suddenly, the people of the same gender heard their companion say this and immediately made a shushing gesture. You guys are crazy. If Lu Tianxiang hears about this, have you thought about the consequences? As the saying goes, see through it but don't say it. So, just watch and don't talk. It just so happens that just eating is boring. See, a big show is about to start. As soon as he said this, his companions looked at him with admiration. The place completely quieted down. Long Ming, who was sitting beside Huiyun, was unhappy when he saw Lu Changtian like this. Now that Lu Changtian was not here, if he did not handle this matter well, he could imagine what would happen to him. Thinking of Lu Changtian's terrifying cultivation, Long Ming could not help but shiver. It was as if he was afraid that Lu Changtian would beat him up like before. Rumble. Long Ming stood up. Perhaps he was too excited, so the bench under his but made a loud noise. He stood up and stared straight at Lu Tianxiang. His face darkened, and killing intent leaked out. Hey, Lu Big Eye, how long has it been since I last saw you? How dare you speak like that in front of me? Is your skin itching for a beating? Long Ming's words were very domineering. Of course, the meaning behind his words was not completely wrong. Previously, when he was still the #1 profligate in the capital, he often carried out inhumane torture on Lu Tianxiang. But now, the brat who had been beaten by him until he cried and went home to look for his mother was now shouting in front of him. How could he tolerate this? Did he not want to lose face? Long Ming's words made Lu Tianxiang lose some face. He didn't expect that just talking about that woman would cause Long Ming to be so dissatisfied. Of course, this kind of panic only lasted for a moment. Thinking about his current status, Lu Tianxiang secretly calmed down. Looking at Long Ming, there was an additional trace of ruthlessness and killing intent. Long Ming, do you really think you're still the #1 profligate? Oh, right. You haven't returned to the capital for a long time. Perhaps you still don't know your current situation. A look of interest flashed across Lu Tianxiang's eyes. What do you mean? Long Ming was startled. His heart inexplicably thumped as a bad premonition surged in his heart. At this moment, Lu Tianxiang's words attracted Huiyun's attention. It was not because of anything else but Long Ming. Of course it means what it means. She sneered, then turned around and said to the follower behind her, Come, loosen our young Master Long's shins and let him understand that my status is higher than his. Even if it's the Long family, they have to lower their heads when they see my Lu family. If it's a dragon, it has to coil up. If it's a tiger, it has to lie down. Otherwise, I'll cripple you. You. Looking at the madness on Lu Tianxiang's face, Long Ming's heart jumped. He vigilantly came in front of Huiyun and guarded Huiyun behind him. He looked at Lu Tianxiang and said, Brat, don't act recklessly. Otherwise, the Long family won't let the Lu family off. Long Ming was very worried that Lu Tianxiang would make a move. It wasn't that he was afraid, but he was afraid that Huiyun would be injured because of this. If that was the case, he couldn't bear the responsibility. Oh, Lu Tianxiang was a little surprised by Long Ming's actions. According to Long Ming's personality, he wouldn't waste time talking nonsense and directly make a move. However, at this moment, he was protecting that woman behind him. If Long Ming dared to touch her clothes, he would fight with his life. Lu Tianxiang was interested in Huiyun's identity. It was very inconceivable that she could make the former hedonistic son of a rich family act like this. Madam, I'll hold them off in a while. You leave first. If you have a way to contact Senior Lu, please do so as soon as possible. I'm afraid I won't be able to hold them off for long. Long Ming lowered his voice so that only he and Huiyun could hear. Then looking at Long Ming, Huiyun was a little hesitant. After all, there were 5 people on the other side, and their cultivations weren't weak. Some of them even surpassed Long Ming's cultivation. Under such an attack, she was very afraid that Long Ming wouldn't be able to hold on. However, she also understood that if she was here, Long Ming would have something to worry about. This way, Long Ming would be unable to focus on fighting the enemy. Even escaping would be a problem. As soon as she spoke, she thought of this problem and shut her mouth. She nodded to Long Ming to show that she understood. If that's the case, then let's fight. With a furious roar, Long Ming's figure shot towards Lu Tianxiang like a sharp arrow. He instantly released his cultivation as a martial king. His target was Lu Tianxiang. As the saying goes, to catch bandits, first catch the leader. Long Ming wasn't stupid. Under such an attack, this was the only way to survive. Whoosh! The moment Long Ming moved, Huiyun also moved. She quickly jumped out of the window at the side. Without stopping, she rushed into the distance. She wanted to find Lu Changtian. Right now, only Lu Changtian could resolve this situation. Bang! Just as Huiyun jumped out of the window and rushed into the distance, an explosion came from behind her. She turned her head and saw that Long Ming's figure had already flown out of the window on the second floor of the heavenly fragrance intoxication. There was blood at the corner of his mouth, and his aura was extremely weak. Long Ming. She didn't want to escape. She couldn't watch Long Ming die for her. She turned around and quickly flashed to Long Ming's side. Seeing him lying on the ground with blood spurting out of his mouth, anger rose in her heart. Even a big dog had to look at its master. Now that her own people were being beaten, how could she sit by and do nothing? Where is Lu Changtian? She looked up to the sky and circulated her cultivation. She roared at the sky and shouted Lu Changtian's name. Chapter 1075. In other people's eyes, Huiyun's actions might seem like she was crazy, and many people thought so. The moment Huiyun's voice sounded, the entire street focused on Huiyun, regardless of whether they could see her or not. Her voice that carried the fiery clouds to announce her cultivation was extremely loud and clear, spreading in all directions from where she was. Whoosh! Several figures rushed out from the second floor of the heavenly fragrance intoxication. Without looking, it was obvious that it was Lu Tianxiang and the others. Oh, you didn't run. Seeing Huiyun squatting beside Long Ming, Lu Tianxiang's interest grew. You're courting death, do you know that? Ignoring the arrival of Lu Tianxiang and the others, her eyes were filled with worry, and her voice was cold as she spoke to Lu Changtian. Oh, I'm so scared. Lu Tianxiang was also scared. Hearing Huiyun's words, he hid behind with a fearful gaze. However, in the next moment, Lu Tianxiang returned to his original position, and a trace of killing intent flashed through his eyes. Looking at Huiyun, looking at this beautiful woman, one had to admit that Long Ming's evaluation was very accurate, because Lu Tianxiang's heart was moved, and a strong desire to possess Huiyun emerged from his heart. Young master, how about we capture her and bring her back for you to enjoy? At the side, seeing his young master's eyes filled with desire, he stepped forward and said, That's right, young master. This woman is so beautiful. If young master can enjoy her, wouldn't it be a waste? Yes. I think second brother and the others are right, young master. What do you think? In an instant, seeing the first person's performance, the remaining people naturally volunteered and began to chime in. He like this. I like it. Not bad. Go back and receive your reward. Hearing his subordinate's words, Lu Tianxiang's desire completely dominated him. At this moment, how could he still be thinking about Huiyun's shout? Young master, watch me. Upon receiving the order, the man who had spoken first stepped forward. He circulated his cultivation and walked towards Huiyun step by step. The lewd smile on his face was undisguised. Madam, you hurry up and leave. Hurry up. Long Ming, who was lying on the ground and could not move due to the pain in his body, had a drastic change of expression when he saw the person rushing towards him. Others might not understand, but he understood this Lu Tianxiang very well. He was a walking corpse dominated by lust. As long as someone was targeted by him, no one could escape. Given the current situation, it was impossible for Huiyun to escape. If Lu Changtian was here, this would not have happened. But the problem was that Lu Changtian was not here. Madam, hurry. Huiyun knew that she was no match for this person. The only thing she could do now was to pray that Lu Changtian would arrive soon. Otherwise, she might really lose her life here. Miss, obediently surrender and wait for my young master's favor. This will be good for you. The man came in front of Huiyun and said, Bastard, you want me to surrender? Dream on. Do you really think I'm a vegetarian? After saying that, without waiting for the man to make a move, Hui Yun took the initiative. At least this way, she had the initiative. However, perhaps Hui Yun still underestimated the opponent's strength. Just as her figure rushed in front of the man, she saw a smile appear on the man's face. He waved his hand, and a terrifying energy rushed out. It rushed towards Hui Yun's shoulder without any fear. With a muffled boom, Hui Yun, who suffered a huge force, flew out like a rubber ball. Pooh, a mouthful of blood spurted out from Hui Yun's mouth. Her face paled, and the bones at her shoulder were also broken by this move. Pong! 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 Her body fell to the ground and rolled a few times before coming to a stop. Hui Yun was lying on the ground like a corpse. Her entire body felt uncomfortable and weak. Cough! Look, it seems that I still underestimated the strength of a martial king. Although she knew that a martial king was strong, she had never fought one before. Originally, she thought that she could at least stall for time. But now Katja, just as Hui Yun's face was ashen and she thought that she was going to die here today, a sound that only Hui Yun could hear was heard. What? What's that sound? Hui Yun was sure that this sound came from her body. However, Long Ming did not know that the moment he saw Hui Yun being blasted away, his entire body felt unwell. Bastard, Lu Tianxiang, do you know that today you touched the madam? It can be said that your Lu family's days have come to an end. It's not too late to stop now, otherwise, Arrogant laughter came from Lu Tianxiang's mouth. His face was filled with madness and disdain. Long Ming, are you kidding me? My sister is now the emperor's woman. Do you think my Lu family will be afraid? F***CK. Right now, there was nothing else that could express his feelings. Haha. Are you feeling hopeless? Do you find it unbelievable? Looking at Long Ming's expression, Lu Tianxiang was in a good mood. Go kill Long Ming. As for the woman, bring her back. A boom! Lu Tianxiang had a perverted smile on his face. Just as he was about to say that he would bring her back to enjoy her, a sudden change occurred. A terrifying energy instantly erupted. The spirit Qi within a radius of 10,000 li seemed to have received some kind of summon and crazily rushed towards Hui Yun. What's going on? Feeling the fluctuation of spirit Qi in the surroundings, Hui Yun was stunned. She could feel that the spirit Qi was rushing towards her. What's going on? At the same time, the martial king's subordinates on Lu Tianxiang's body felt the madness of the spirit Qi. They were stunned on the spot and looked toward Hui Yun. My reverse scale, those who touch it will die. Who is it? Who dares to touch my protector? An angry voice instantly sounded in everyone's ears. It was as if the person who spoke was right next to them. Then, an inconceivable mirror image appeared. Above the fiery clouds, a figure that was 10 meters tall appeared. This scene completely stunned everyone, completely shattering the understanding they had for so many years. What kind of method was used to achieve this? To be able to draw the spirit Qi within a radius of 10,000 li? Even martial god might not be able to do this. Far off in the distance, Lin Li was in the middle of teaching Min Tianyu martial arts. Suddenly, one of the 3 jade pendants hanging around his neck shattered. What's going on? Looking at the shattered jade pendant, his heart trembled. This was the jade pendant he gave to his grandfather, mother, and 4th uncle when he left home. It would only shatter when it was attacked by a strong enemy. At this moment, his mother's jade pendant shattered. That meant, thinking of this, his expression changed abruptly, and the killing intent in his body erupted uncontrollably. My reverse scale, those who touch it will die. Chapter 1076. The murderous aura kept spilling out. Xueling Tian was awakened by this sudden murderous aura. When he saw Lin Rei's current appearance, he was stunned. He quickly went forward and asked, "What's going on?" Xueling Tian understood that Lin Rei would not lose control unless he encountered something. Min Rongrong and Min Tianyu were cowering in a corner due to this murderous aura. Their bodies trembled and they did not dare to move. They were afraid that they would be killed by this murderous aura. Lin Rei ignored Shui Lingtian's voice. He closed his eyes and felt his aura appear there. He understood the method he left behind. It would only attack once. After that, it would dissipate. Therefore, he was feeling his aura. He wanted to set off as soon as possible to find his mother. What's going on? Feeling that the aura came from the south, Lin Rei was stunned. He did not understand why his mother would go south. This thought flashed through his mind. When he felt his aura, Lin Rei's closed eyes suddenly opened. He scanned Shui Lingtian and said, "Take them and follow behind. Don't fall behind. I will take you to kill people." Whoosh! After saying that, his figure shot out like an arrow. He was so fast that Lin Rei's figure disappeared in the blink of an eye. Damn! Looking at the place where Lin Rei disappeared, Shui Lingtian was speechless. Then, his figure grew bigger. As a smart person, he knew what to do at the right time. Ayo! His figure grew bigger, and he roared at the trembling Min Rongrong and Min Rongrong. With a sweep of his tail, he placed the two on his body. He circulated his cultivation and chased in the direction Lin Rei left. Lu Chantian, who was far away in the capital of the Guanyin Empire, did not know that Lin Rei was rushing here because of his negligence. The moment Lin Rei's figure appeared, the entire place boiled. Alchemists and cultivators above the martial emperor level all felt a pressure. It was a pressure that was targeted at them. In the imperial palace of the empire, in a secret room deep in the palace, an old man sat cross-legged. He looked very peaceful, and a comfortable aura flowed around him. This is... However, in the next moment, the old man who was in the middle of cultivation was startled. He looked in the direction of the imperial city in shock. What's going on? Why do I feel a surge of energy appearing? What is it? The old man could no longer remain calm. If the emperor of the empire was here, he would definitely be able to recognize that this was the protector of the empire, the martial god of the empire, Zhao Jiwen. No, as the protector of the empire, he naturally couldn't allow such a power to appear in his jurisdiction. He got up and disappeared instantly, rushing out of the secret chamber and soaring into the sky, heading in the direction of the goading that made his heart palpitate. In front of the heavenly fragrance-drunken door, Lin Rei's figure had completely taken shape. Along the way, he had uttered the words, "My reverse scale, whoever touches it will die." Huiyun, who was lying on the ground, immediately recognized that this was her son. However, the difference was that her son's current appearance seemed to have changed. Little did she know that the reason Lin Rei's appearance had changed was because he had used this appearance when he was in the divine realm. Lin Rei's appearance attracted all the cultivators of the empire who were martial emperors and above. One by one, they came out of seclusion and rushed over. Lu Changtian was the same. However, the difference was that Lu Changtian's expression was very cold. It was so cold that no one dared to touch him. He had heard Huiyun shout just now, and within a minute, a surge of energy had appeared that made his heart palpitate. In addition, the spiritual qi within a radius of 10,000 li had disappeared in an instant. Putting all these together, he understood that this was the doing of his master, Lin Rei. His heart was beating like a drum. He had originally come out to investigate. He hadn't expected that something that could threaten Huiyun would happen when he left. Bastard, hurry up! Lu Changtian didn't allow himself to slow down. If something happened to Huiyun, his life would come to an end. In front of the heavenly fragrance-drunken door, Lin Rei had taken shape. He lowered his head and looked at the person who had attacked his mother. His eyes were filled with killing intent. It's been many years since anyone dared to attack this sovereign's family. You are very courageous. You? Looking at the figure that had suddenly appeared, floating in the air, the man who had injured Huiyun was stunned. It was the old man Lin Rei. He could feel the pressure coming from Lin Rei's body. He understood that he wasn't a match for him. He turned his head to look at his young master with an ashen face. Then, his fearful expression became firm. Now, he believed that his young master could protect him. Just as Lu Tianxiang had said, his sister had become the emperor's woman. He had nothing to fear. This is interesting. seeing the firm expression on the man's face. He raised his head and looked at Lu Tianxiang. Lin Ray didn't care about him. As a spiritual consciousness of Lin Ray, he didn't have much consciousness. He only attacked the person who had attacked him. As for the others, they would wait for the arrival of the main body. Ray, on the ground, looking at her son who was floating in the air, Huiyun couldn't stop her tears from falling down her cheeks. Mother, don't worry. With me here, if anyone dares to touch you in the entire heavenly fate realm, they'll pay with their family. If this emperor dynasty, then, just as she was about to say something, an aura suddenly appeared above her head. Ah, nascent soul, martial god. It's getting more and more interesting. She understood. Then, she looked at Zhao Jiwen and said, if you want to stop me, then you'll have to pay with the entire empire. Can you afford it? The strange words aroused everyone's curiosity. However, no one knew that Zhao Jiwen, who was standing in the clouds, was shocked and terrified. Looking at the figure below, Zhao Jiwen understood that the person in front of him had surpassed his understanding. Just like what Lin Ray had said, if he attacked, he was sure that the entire empire would be reduced to nothingness. Thinking about it, he transmitted his voice, Senior, I don't dare. I just felt an aura, so I came to check. If there's anything, I'll leave first. After speaking, he didn't wait for Linley to reply. His figure quickly disappeared into thin air. The longer one stayed, the more one feared death. This was especially so for those who had cultivated to the martial god realm. They always hoped that one day they could break through to a higher realm so that they could live as long as the heavens. Lin Ray felt that aura disappear. He looked down at the man who attacked. Lin Ray knew that if he didn't attack in his current state, he was afraid that his energy would disappear completely. You deserve to die. He raised his hand. Suddenly, the space around the man froze. At that moment, the man couldn't move. What's going on? I don't want to die. Chapter 1077. I don't dare, big brother. Among the four people behind Lu Tianxiang, a young man who looked very similar to a man saw his big brother's current state and became worried. He quickly rushed out, wanting to save his big brother. Second brother, quickly retreat. You're no match for him. Seeing his second brother rush out, the man's face was filled with fear. He understood the terror of the surrounding energy and naturally understood that even if the two of them joined forces, they would not be a match for him. This scene appeared too suddenly. They originally thought that it was just an ordinary woman, but now it seemed that they were all wrong. Just as Long Ming had reminded them, whoever touched this woman would die. At this moment, the man was very regretful. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Otherwise, he would be willing to buy a dozen as long as he did not die. Ignoring the people who rushed over, his eyes fixed on the person who attacked his mother. A huge palm quickly slammed down from the sky. This was a battle technique that Lin Ray transmitted to his spiritual sense, the sky-raising palm. This was a battle technique of the divine realm. Therefore, the man and the people who came to rescue him were not spared. Bang! The palm slammed down on the two people. Suddenly, the moment the huge palm collided with the ground, the entire street began to tremble. A palm print that was more than 10 meters deep appeared on the ground. As for the two martial kings who accompanied the auction, they had naturally turned into flesh and blood at this moment. They were paralyzed on the ground, unable to speak. As for Lin Ray's spiritual sense, it completely collapsed the moment he made his move. It turned into silence, as if it had never appeared. Why did he suddenly disappear? Long Ming, who was lying in the distance, saw Lin Ray suddenly disappear, and his face suddenly turned ashen. He originally thought that reinforcements had arrived, but now only 2 people were killed. The most important culprit was not dead. This made Long Ming despair. Ray, seeing her son jumping over, Huiyun's heart ached. Her tears could not be stopped. They were like endless spring water. In the distance, Lu Tianxiang, who was originally in shock and fear and thought that he would die here today, recovered from his fear when Lin Ray suddenly disappeared. As for the 2 dead martial kings, He didn't care at all. In his eyes, those two were nothing more than two dogs in his house. So what if they died as long as he was fine? Looking at the remaining three people, Lu Tianxiang let out a sigh of relief. His fear disappeared and was replaced by his previous arrogance. Of course, in the depths of his arrogance, there was a hint of hesitation. He was afraid of him. He was afraid that the silhouette would appear again. But very quickly, such thoughts were suppressed by his lust. With a beauty in front of him, such thoughts were naturally suppressed. Go kill Longming. Bring the woman back and torture her. Don't you have to compensate with your own life for killing my men? Lu Tianxiang's voice sounded in the ears of the three martial kings behind him. Suddenly, the three martial kings trembled. Thinking of that figure from before, well, they were probably hesitating. If the man from before could sense it, they could naturally sense it as well. That aura was something that they would never be able to surpass in their lifetime. They were afraid of that person's revenge. Why haven't you gone yet? Seeing that the three people behind him didn't move, Lu Tianxiang's expression turned cold. His tone was full of threat. Don't forget, I'm your young master. Do you want me to tell my father that you're disobedient? Lu Tianxiang's words stunned the three people. Their faces turned pale. Although they were afraid of that figure, he had disappeared. If he didn't make a move now, they were afraid that only death would await them. The three of them looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Let's do it. At least we have to save our lives first. Agreed. After discussing, the three of them moved. The three of them split up. One of them walked towards Longming. At this moment, Longming didn't have any ability to pose a threat. The other two also walked towards Huiyun. Looking at the people walking towards Huiyun, Longming was furious. He moved his aching body, wanted to move in front of Huiyun to protect her. However, just as he moved, a foot stepped on his chest mercilessly. With a bang, a wave of pain appeared in Longming's chest. Longming, who was already seriously injured, was now injured even more. Pfff, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Compared to a dead person, he was even worse. Longming. Huiyun was very worried about Longming's current state. As for the 30 or so subordinates standing around, they originally wanted to rush up and participate in the battle. However, before they could make a move, they were stopped by Huiyun. The other party's formation was in front of him. If a few of them came out, it would only be a few more lives. They wouldn't be of any use. Seeing Huiyun's worry for Longming, the two people who walked forward said with a smile, "Miss, you should worry about yourself. You will die." Looking at the two people, Huiyun didn't have any expression. Huiyun's words made the two people's hands pause. However, it was only for a moment. Then, they moved again and reached out to grab Huiyun. Looking at the two people's outstretched hands, Huiyun closed her eyes in despair, waiting for the fate of being captured. Bam! Bam! However, Huiyun, who had been waiting for a long time, didn't feel any strange movements on her body. Instead, the outside world was in chaos. She couldn't help but open her eyes in despair. What she saw was a guilt-ridden Lu Changtian kneeling in front of her. He was completely like a child who did something wrong and was waiting for his parents to reprimand him. "Grand Mistress, it's Changtian's fault. Changtian shouldn't have left alone. Please punish me." It turned out that the moment Huiyun closed her eyes, Lu Changtian just arrived. When he saw the two people's actions, he was instantly furious. He stepped forward and kicked the two people over. He didn't expect that after he left for a while, something like this would happen. He wouldn't shirk his mistakes. Looking at Lu Changtian's current appearance, the despair in her eyes disappeared and a relaxed smile flashed. "All right, it's fine as long as you're here. I'll leave the rest to you. Don't worry, Grand Mistress. Leave it to me." He stood up and stood in front of Huiyun. Looking at the two people who had already stood up, Lu Changtian's eyes were filled with killing intent and coldness. In his eyes, the people in front of him were no longer living people. Since he made a move, they were dead. Today, this sovereign will let you know that there are some people you can't afford to offend. Looking at the two people, Lu Changtian didn't hesitate at all. He wasn't in the mood to continue playing with them. He instantly circulated his martial saint cultivation, and the pressure of a martial saint instantly spread to a radius of 100 meters. Damn it, why is there another one? Seeing Lu Changtian appear and feeling the terrifying aura, Lu Tianxiang was dumbfounded. A trace of regret flashed in his heart. However, when he thought of his sister, that trace of regret disappeared. "Kill him for me," Lu Tianxiang ordered. Everyone, looking at Lu Changtian understood that he was the mastermind this time. "You will die today. The one who doesn't panic is you. Your family will also be exterminated today." Chapter 1078. Lu Changtian did not hide his words at all. In his opinion, Lu Tianxiang's family was at most a martial saint family. And so what if they had a martial saint? Now that he had injured He Yun, no matter how powerful their family was, Lu Changtian was already in a state of irreconcilable enmity with them. This matter could not be changed. From the first time Lu Tianxiang made a move. Oh, that's not right. When Lu Tianxiang set his sights on He Yun, he was already on the opposite side of Lu Changtian. And the Lu family, under Lu Tianxiang's ignorance, finally walked the path of destruction. Ants will always be ants. They will never know that a mayfly cannot shake a tree. At least, that's what Lu Changtian is thinking now. Whoosh! Under Lu Tianxiang's command. Although the remaining 3 martial kings were terrified, they didn't dare to have any thoughts of disobeying their young master's orders. It was not because they were afraid of Lu Tianxiang, but because the power behind Lu Tianxiang was too strong. It was so strong that they did not even have the slightest thought of running away. There was no need to panic. Just like Lu Tianxiang said before, his sister was now Emperor Guangyun's woman. Just based on this point, they did not have the heart to run away. Moreover, even if they wanted to run, they would have to see if Lu Changtian would agree. Looking at the 3 people rushing over, Lu Changtian's face darkened. Every time Lu Changtian fought, he did not dare to underestimate his opponent. This principle was taught to him by Lin Rui, and it was also his own experience. In the Divine Valley, he encountered a demonic beast. That little guy was very weak and did not seem to have the slightest ability to harm him. In the end, Lu Changtian's heart softened. But in the end, the little guy took advantage of the moment when Lu Changtian was distracted and quickly rushed in front of Lu Changtian. It opened its mouth and bit off a piece of flesh from Lu Changtian's left chest. At that time, Lu Changtian could be said to have lost his ability to fight in an instant, not because of the wound, but because of the poison hidden in the mouth of the seemingly weak little guy. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin Rui was watching from the side, he would have already died. Therefore, he didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless towards these martial cultivators with low cultivation levels, who knew whether or not they had a backup plan. Armaments were not like true cultivators. They were immune to some common poisons. As long as an armaments cultivator used even a little bit of it, the consequences would be unimaginable. Sky-raising palm, a palm that can raise the sky. The mighty sky palm was used instantly. At present, this was probably his most powerful combat technique. Moreover, it was not shameful to say that the mighty sky palm had a total of 3 moves. Currently, he had only comprehended 1 move, and it was the most superficial one. He had yet to master it thoroughly. Even so, as a combat technique that could only be used in the divine world, the heavenly fate world's combat techniques were incomparable. When the mighty sky palm was used, huge palms appeared in front of the 3. The palms were golden in color, and the lines on them were clear. Lu Changtian didn't have a good time using this technique because it required a lot of energy from a user. Using this technique had already consumed 40% of Lu Changtian's origin energy. Not good. Retreat quickly. The 3 martial kings who were using the same combat technique were stunned when they saw the 3 palms that appeared in front of them. They could feel the power coming from the palms in front of them. Among them, the one who seemed to be the leader looked at the palms, and his expression changed. He warned the other 2 beside him and turned around to leave. Bam, bam, bam. However, it was a pity that they had underestimated the power of the mighty sky palm. The moment the three of them turned around to escape, the palms suddenly accelerated and arrived behind them in the blink of an eye. In the end, the palms hit the three of them without any resistance. Three muffled sounds resounded in the field. Before the palms hit the ground, dust flew everywhere and everyone's vision became blurry. Whoosh! Three figures appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Looking at the three figures that were sent flying, the spectators didn't need to think to know that these three figures were Lu Tianxiang's followers. Bam! 100 meters away, the three of them fell to the ground in a sorry state. Their bodies were limp on the ground as if they didn't have any bones. Their expressions were absent-minded and blood kept flowing out of their mouths. Their chests were caved in and their clothes were tattered under the effect of the palms. They were in a sorry state. Hiss! Looking at the three of them in such a state, the spectators couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. They looked at Lu Changtian with astonishment. It was very rare to see experts of this level. Usually, experts of this level were the pillars of their families and would spend their time in seclusion. Plop! Just as everyone was shocked, a sound came into everyone's ears. They saw Lu Tianxiang, who was extremely arrogant a moment ago, fall to the ground with a pale face. He looked at Lu Changtian with a shocked gaze, and fear swept through his body. Yes, he was scared. He was really scared. Originally, he thought that the person in front of him wouldn't dare to act recklessly. After all, his brother-in-law was the emperor of the Guanyin Empire. But now, seeing that the man didn't hold back at all and had a murderous expression, he understood that he had kicked an iron plate today. No, you, how can you be so strong? How is this possible? This was the only thought Lu Tianxiang could think of now. He didn't expect the person who suddenly appeared to be so strong. However, he seemed to have forgotten that the spiritual sense that appeared before seemed to be stronger than Lu Changtian, who was standing in front of him now. Perhaps he was scared silly, so he didn't think about those things at all now. He didn't restrain his aura. On the contrary, it was getting stronger and stronger. It could be seen that Lu Changtian was completely angry. His gaze fell on Lu Tianxiang, who fell to the ground. Lu Changtian moved and strode towards Lu Tianxiang. Every step was like a hammer, hammering Lu Tianxiang's heart. You deserve to die. This sentence alone could summarize Lu Changtian's current thoughts. Yes, the man in front of him deserved to die. If it weren't for him, would Huiyin be like this? Moreover, he didn't feel that Lin Rei's aura was an illusion. It really existed. Lu Changtian was very clear about Lin Rei's means. It was easy for him to leave something on Huiyin. No, you can't kill me. I'm the son of the head of the Lu family. I'm the younger brother of the emperor. I'm ignorant. Lu Changtian found Lu Tianxiang's words very laughable. Moreover, did it have anything to do with him? In his opinion, as long as these forces dared to interfere, the final result would be to kill all those who stood in their way. Even if he was no match for them, there would be a day when he would become stronger. Moreover, his master wasn't a good person. Now, he had a feeling that his master, Lin Rei, was coming here at this moment. Soon, very soon, he would arrive here. In this way, this place would become an Azura battlefield. Huiyin would pay the price for the injuries she had suffered before. Chapter 1079. Young man, the Lu family is very powerful. They can do whatever they want in the empire. Although you are a martial cultivator, you are still a single person. The other party is an entire family. You should, Mom, don't say any more. Just as Lu Changtian was about to make his move, a white-haired old lady walked out. Her expression was filled with sincerity. Lu Changtian reminded her. However, before she could finish her words, a middle-aged man stepped forward and stopped the old lady's words. From the looks of it, the middle-aged man should be the old lady's son. However, he was looking at Lu Tianxiang on the ground in fear. It was as if he was afraid that the other party would retaliate. As soon as the old lady's words left her mouth, the faces of the surrounding onlookers were filled with sympathy. Everyone hated Lu Tianxiang to the extreme, but due to the Lu family's power, Everyone could only be angry but not dare to say anything. They could only swallow their anger. Come, let's go home. Ignoring everyone's expression, as if he was afraid that his mother would do something uncontrollable here, he carried Lu Tianxiang and headed home. Looking at the back of the two people, Lu Chantian bitterly smiled. However, he was still grateful to the old lady, even if it wasn't of much use. After this small episode, Lu Chantian withdrew his gaze. His killing intent once again reached an unprecedented level. He understood that he could barely be considered as Lin Rei's true disciple. At least, that was how he saw it. However, if Lin Rei knew what he was thinking, he wouldn't know whether to laugh or cry. Not because of anything else, but because his idea was too funny. Die. Without saying anything, he stepped forward and appeared in front of Lu Tianxiang in an instant. He raised his hand and grabbed Lu Tianxiang's neck, dragging him up from the ground. Lu Chantian wanted nothing more than to chop this bastard into pieces. However, Lu Chantian also understood that he was in someone else's territory. The longer he delayed, the worse it would be for him. No, you can't kill me. I am Lu Cangyun's son. You can't do this to me. I can give you money, a lot of money, as long as you don't kill me. With fear, he kept trying to tempt Lu Chantian. In his opinion, money could make even ghosts turn millstones. However, it was a pity. If it were someone else, they might be tempted, but the person he encountered was Lu Chantian. He was not interested in money at all, especially when he thought of Lin Rei's violent temper and Lin Rei's furious appearance. He would not think of these things. Gotcha! Without saying anything else, he exerted force with his hand, and the sound of bones breaking rang out from Lu Tianxiang's throat. The bones of a martial king were very strong. Unfortunately, Lu Changtian's strength was mostly built up through the use of medicine. Moreover, Lu Changtian's strength was impressive, so there was no such thing as useless. Just like that, Lu Changtian, the hedonistic disciple who once rebuked the winds and clouds of the imperial capital, died just like that at the hands of Lu Changtian. In the distance, seeing their young master die, the three people's expressions changed greatly. But facing Lu Changtian, who was stronger than them, they had no power to fight back. Bang! He casually flung Lu Tianxiang's body to the side, as if he was throwing trash. Then, he looked at the three people 100 meters away. It's your turn. Seeing the god of death walking towards them step by step, the three martial kings were filled with regret. If they knew that things would turn out like this, they would never have let their young master have any ideas about that woman. Gotcha! The sound of bones breaking rang out in the ears of the surrounding onlookers. At this moment, the way they looked at Lu Changtian changed. They became fearful, and did not dare to approach. Some people who originally wanted to contact and try to recruit them chose to ignore this matter. Ming. However, just as the surrounding people were in fear, a very sudden voice came from the side. They saw a man who looked to be in his 40s looking at Long Ming lying on the ground with a puzzled expression. Ma, Patriarch? You? Why are you? At this moment, the 30 subordinates standing in the crowd looked at the person who spoke. The leader was stunned and subconsciously lowered his head, his body trembling. Right, wasn't this person his young master's father, Long Yaoyang? However, he did not expect this matter to alarm him. You are. Hearing someone call him Patriarch, Long Yaoyang was sure that the person in front of him was from the Long clan. Otherwise, he would not have called him Patriarch. With a plop, the leader knelt on the ground and said, I am Long Qi, young master's personal subordinate. Oh, Long Qi. Hearing Long Qi's name, Long Yaoyang was stunned. He looked at Long Qi with an unfriendly expression, and anger rose in his heart. In his opinion, as his son's subordinate, his master was heavily injured while his subordinate was fine. In his heart, the person in front of him should be dead. He lowered his head and trembled, not daring to raise his head. However, he could feel the killing intent from Long Yaoyang. He understood Long Yaoyang's feelings at this moment. You are Long Ming's father? Lu Changtian, who was watching from afar, understood a lot from their conversation. He knew that the person in front of him was Long Ming's father. Long Yaoyang, a late-stage martial king, Long Ming's father. Why was he so cruel and merciless? You are. Hearing Lu Changtian's words, Long Yaoyang was stunned. He had seen the scene when Lu Changtian attacked. He knew that Lu Changtian's cultivation was very strong. Even he could not kill a martial king in an instant. Looking at Lu Changtian, he secretly sized up Lu Changtian. No one knew what he was thinking. Lu Changtian, Long Ming is my subordinate. Without the slightest hesitation, he directly revealed Long Ming's identity. In his opinion, Long Ming was his subordinate. At the very least, he had protected Huiyun, which had offset his previous actions. What? I didn't hear you clearly. Can you say that again? Hearing Lu Changtian's words, Long Yaoyang was stunned. His face became colder and colder. What's the meaning of this? You dare to take my son as your subordinate? Do you think I'm a dead man? F.A. Father. An extremely weak voice came from Long Ming's mouth. His face was filled with fear. Father, he is right. He heard Lu Changtian and his father's words clearly. He knew Lu Changtian's cultivation and his character. He was afraid that his father would offend Lu Changtian and kill him. You. Long Ming's words caused the anger in Long Yaoyang's heart to dissipate. He looked at his son in shock. He knew his son's personality very well. He was arrogant and didn't like to be under others, but now. Chapter 1080. Ignoring Long Yaoyang, Lu Changtian walked in front of Long Ming and squatted down. Feeling Long Ming's vitality leaving his body, Lu Changtian's expression changed, and he took out a bottle of pills. You did well today. Although the result didn't change much, but from today onwards, you are someone I, Lu Changtian, will protect. If anyone dares to touch you in the future, I will fight them to the death. Hearing that, Long Yaoyang was startled, and the killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. Lu Changtian took out a pill from the bottle, and as soon as the pill came out, a fragrance filled the air, and the surrounding people's bodies trembled, and their bodies felt indescribably comfortable. Eat this. I believe you will get better soon. When Master comes, you will benefit greatly. Thank you. Filled with gratitude, Long Ming reached out to receive the medicinal pill with trembling hands and placed it into his mouth. The medicinal pill melted as soon as it entered Long Ming's mouth. Its fragrance and warmth instantly rushed into Long Ming's abdomen. Use your cultivation to refine the pill. Without waiting for Long Ming's reply, he got up and walked in front of Huiyun with a guilty heart. Looking at the blood on the corner of his mouth, Lu Changtian's heart trembled. If his master Lin Rei saw this, he would have a hard time in the future. Grand Mistress, quickly eat this. It will be good for your injuries. Lu Changtian took out a white jade bottle, and a green pill appeared in his hand. Lu Changtian had been drooling over this pill for a long time. However, with his cultivation, he didn't have any use for it. If people in the cultivation world saw a real pill, they would scoff because pills of this level were very common in the cultivation world. Level 2 Sweet Dew Pill. It was a very effective pill for healing injuries. It could allow low-level cultivators to recover from their injuries in an instant. Although it was a low-level pill in the cultivation world, in the destiny world, it could be described as a divine pill. Waking up from her cultivation, Huiyun didn't hesitate as she looked at the pill in front of her. She understood that Lu Changtian wouldn't harm her, nor would he dare to do anything to her. Huiyun stretched out her hand and stuffed the pill into her mouth. The pill instantly rushed into her abdomen, and the medicinal efficacy instantly dissolved. A warm current flowed into her limbs and began to heal her injuries. From the outside world, everyone was completely shocked when they saw what was happening to Huiyun. At this moment, the wounds on Huiyun's surface instantly healed the moment she ate the medicinal pill. She even looked better than before she was injured. How is this possible? Long Yaoyang was the closest. When he saw Huiyun's transformation, he was shocked. He had never heard of such a pill before. Furthermore, such a divine pill had never appeared in the heavenly fate world. When he looked at Lu Changtian, the killing intent in his eyes instantly disappeared. It was replaced by greed. Yes, greed. Not only Long Yaoyang, but all the surrounding cultivators were also looking at Lu Changtian with greedy eyes. Some cultivators who thought they were strong even began to get restless. They didn't want anything else but the miraculous pill. In everyone's eyes, the pill was like a second life. With it, they would at least have some assurance in the future. Lu Changtian, who was looking at Huiyun with concern, paused. He glanced at the surrounding cultivators and frowned. Human nature is greedy. Lu Changtian didn't need to think to know what they were thinking. If you're not afraid of death, then come. Since today is already like this, I don't mind more bloodshed. Lu Changtian was serious. Although he wanted to leave this place as soon as possible, but he didn't mind turning this place into a road construction hell when he saw everyone's expression. At the very least, if he did that, Lin Rei would be punished less when he came. Of course, it was mainly because of Huiyun's comfort. If Huiyun wasn't here, Lu Changtian wouldn't hesitate to kill everyone when he saw their greedy eyes. Arrogant. Sure enough, Prophet was the most powerful devil. Although they saw Lu Changtian's methods, there were still people who stood out. A middle-aged man looked at Lu Changtian with greed. In the Guanyin Empire, it's not good to be arrogant. You should have more of this pill. How about it? Are you going to hand it over or? The middle-aged man nagged. Huiyun, who was recovering, frowned. You deserve to die. Sensing Huiyun's impatience, Lu Changtian moved without hesitation. The middle-aged man didn't react in time when Lu Changtian moved. When he saw Lu Changtian's figure, his expression changed and he wanted to react. Pooh! The sound of flesh being pierced rang in everyone's ears. They saw a hand sticking out of the middle-aged man's chest. A heart that was still beating was beating in Lu Changtian's hand. The scene was extremely horrifying. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Their hearts tightened and their expressions changed. They felt an indescribable pain in their hearts. Bang! Pulling out his hand, Lin Fan threw the corpse to the side. Blood flowed out from the middle-aged man's chest and dyed the floor red. If anyone else wants to die, come forward. Looking around, Lu Changtian was enraged. He didn't mind starting a massacre. You arrogant people dare to be so arrogant in my Guanyin Empire's capital. We will naturally punish you. As he spoke, another 6 people walked out from the crowd. It had to be said that the temptation of the word prophet was too strong. 3 martial emperors and 3 martial kings. Such a combination didn't have a high status in the empire, but at the very least, the 5 of them could sweep through anyone below the imperial court. You all want to die too? Seeing the 6 people who stood out, Lu Changtian's expression didn't change. He was as calm as water, like a deep pool. Even the appearance of the 6 people wasn't enough to make Lu Changtian's emotions fluctuate. Whether it's a mule or a horse, we'll know once we drag him out. What's the point of arguing? Lu Changtian, he was speechless. Lu Changtian couldn't be perverted by these people's attitude. In his eyes, these people were already dead. Whoosh, they moved. The 6 people spread out and surrounded Lu Changtian. They released their cultivation and their auras swept through the area. Flowing cloud, sword technique, stone shattering fist. Huiyun's palm. The 6 people moved instantly. They were very coordinated and used their martial skills. Lu Changtian could feel that they were using all their strength. Interesting, but he looked at Huiyun, who was still recovering. Then, he looked at the crowd again. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and his killing intent completely erupted. He didn't suppress his cultivation anymore. Boom! His cultivation of a martial saint was completely unleashed. His pressure instantly suppressed the 6 people. Be a human in your next life. Chapter 1081. Although he was a revered martial artist, Lu Changtian was not someone who could easily deal with the attacks of 6 people. Furthermore, Lu Changtian could see that the 6 of them were cooperating very well. Not daring to be careless, Lu Chantian used a shattering martial fist. This was not a battle technique of the divine realm, but it was indeed created by Lin Rei. In this world, other than Lin Rei, only Lu Chantian knew how to use it. Come, let me see where your confidence comes from. After saying that, his body shot out like an arrow, turning into a fierce beast that had awakened from a long slumber. Facing such a combination, one could not stop them from fighting head-on. The only way to kill them quickly was to defeat them one by one. Martial cultivation was originally about cultivating several bodies. Using strength to defeat them was the most practical and the most basic skill of a martial cultivator. For example, Lin Rei's physical body was at the sage realm. Even if he encountered a sage, his physical body would still be there even if the spiritual energy in his body was depleted. This was very obvious in a battle. Not good. He wants to defeat us one by one. Among the 6 people, a middle-aged man saw Lu Changtian's actions and his expression changed. He said to the people beside him, "Do you really think we are vegetarians?" They understood that he wanted to defeat them one by one, but would they give Lu Changtian the chance to do so? Obviously, this chance would not be given to Lu Changtian. The moment they understood Lu Changtian's intention, the 6 people instantly stood together and used their martial techniques at the same time, aiming at Lu Changtian as if they wanted to KO Lu Changtian with one move. I didn't expect there to be a smart person. Seeing that the other party knew his purpose, a trace of surprise flashed in his calm eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. But is it useful? Lu Changtian didn't care about the 6 people's attacks at all. He targeted one of the martial kings, and instead of retreating, he moved his body to the side and dodged the attacks. He used the butterfly steps, and many afterimages appeared instantly. What? This? Seeing that their attacks had been dodged, the 6 of them retreated hastily, intending to get out of Lu Changtian's battle range. A mere martial king dares to spout nonsense in front of me. Very brave, but unfortunately, it's useless. The moment the 6 of them retreated, Lu Changtian used the butterfly steps and instantly rushed to the front of the target he had locked onto. He reached out and grabbed the martial king's wrist. Exerting force with his arm, he instantly pulled the martial king out of the group of 6. With a perfect shoulder throw, the martial king was fiercely thrown to the ground. Then, without waiting for the martial king to react, he raised his hand and used the martial breaking fist. It was very powerful, and it smashed towards the martial king's chi gate. No, don't. On the ground, looking at the direction Lu Changtian's hand was pointing at, the man's face suddenly changed, and fear flashed across his face. Chi gate, a type of chi formed when a martial cultivator broke through to the martial disciple realm. It was similar to the chi vortex formed when one broke through to the foundation establishment stage in the cultivation world. However, the difference was that the chi stored in the two was different. What martial cultivators stored was elemental energy, while what cultivators stored was spiritual energy. Their spiritual energy was of superior quality. Once the chi gate was broken, it meant that this cultivator had reached the end of his path. Bang! No matter how the man called for help, he was still slower than Lu Changtian's punch. Furthermore, it happened in an instant, and the other 5 had no time to react. The punch accurately landed on the man's chi gate. Following a muffled sound, a stream of scarlet blood flowed out from the man's mouth. The moment the chi gate was broken, more than half of the man's chi gate disappeared, and his entire person became dispirited. Bastard! At this moment, everyone regained their senses. Unfortunately, it was too late. Now that the chi gate was broken, there was nothing they could do. This kind of strength, Long Yaoyang, who was watching from afar, saw the scene that happened in an instant. Other than shock, he could not think of anything else. Even the greed in his heart was extinguished after seeing Lu Changtian's strength. This kind of strength is on par with the old ancestor. No, he's even stronger than the old ancestor. Hiss! Thinking of this, he sucked in a mouthful of cold air, and his face became even more shocked. revered martial artist. At this moment, he understood why his son was so obedient and stayed by Lu Changtian's side. Since this person called that woman mistress, wouldn't that mean his master's cultivation is even stronger? Thinking of this, he turned to look at Huiyun, who was still recovering, and his expression became complicated. Cough, cough. Feeling his qi gate dissipating and his cultivation gone, his eyes were filled with the color of death. I'm crippled. He cannot believe it. A second ago, he was still participating in the crusade, and in the next moment, he became an inhuman. What a joke. Did he regret it? Regret. The man really regretted it. If he knew that the opponent's cultivation was so strong, he would not have gotten involved in this mess. Prepare yourself. Kacha! The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The man's chest caved in, and his vitality completely dissipated. A martial king died just like that. In less than a minute, another martial king died an unnatural death. Including this person, there were 6 martial kings who died at the hands of Lu Changtian. This number was very terrifying. Although a martial king's cultivation was not considered to be in the upper echelons of the nation, their status was not weak either. Now that 6 martial kings had died, this was no laughing matter. Looking at the bloodstains on Lu Changtian's face in the hearts of the crowd, he was a demon. Some martial kings and even martial emperors could not help but retreat when they saw the man killed. This scene made the crowd understand that they could not get involved in this mess because they would die. As for the thoughts and expressions of the crowd, Lu Changtian did not care, nor did he want to care. He stood up and looked at the remaining 5 people. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and a demonic and bloodthirsty smile flashed. It's your turn. Looking at Lu Changtian's demonic smile, among the 5 people, a man's heart was already filled with fear. He was afraid. Cultivation was not easy, and he should cherish it. After cultivating for so long, it was not worth it to die here. Kill, avenge old 6. As for the man's words, the leader did not care at all. In his opinion, since his brother was killed, he naturally had to avenge it. However, he had never thought about who was the one who had caused this outcome. Very good, that's how it is. I admire, and I like it. Lu Changtian liked the courage of the 5 people very much. Without wasting any time, he moved again. His target was naturally still a martial king. Don't even think about it. Although Lu Changtian's methods have been figured out, the difference in cultivation was obvious. No matter how smart he was, it was useless if his cultivation could not catch up. Using the butterfly steps, his figure disappeared in front of the crowd again. At this moment, the crowd was panicking. They were afraid that Lu Changtian would disappear, because every time Lu Changtian disappeared, it meant that their brother had died. TSK, with such a weak cultivation, you dare to be greedy for my things? Are you worthy? Lu Changtian's voice came from behind a martial king. The man was shocked. He subconsciously moved his feet, wanting to escape from Lu Changtian's demonic claws. However, the moment the man subconsciously tried to escape, a hand reached out from behind and grabbed his neck. Die! Just like that, a one-sided massacre began. Chapter 1082. Kacha! Bang! Another martial king was killed by Lu Changtian. This kind of one-sided killing caused the onlookers to shudder. This kind of one-sided killing had not happened for a long time. No, it could even be said that it had never happened before. In the eyes of cultivators, this kind of one-sided killing was undoubtedly a method of the demonic path. It was extremely cruel. Normally, when this kind of thing happened, the self-proclaimed righteous cultivators would unite against the enemy. Whether they had a grudge or not, they would unite. Of course, only they themselves would know whether they were truly eradicating the demonic path. Of course, it might be because the strength of these people had threatened their existence, so they could not tolerate it. At that moment, the killing continued. Lu Changtian didn't stop after killing 2 people. In his heart, the 6 people in front of him had come out when Huiyun was recovering. It meant that they were going to die. Quick, back to back. We can't let him take advantage of us. The leader spoke. The remaining 3 people did not hesitate. Their bodies flashed, and they quickly came behind the leader. The 4 of them tacitly stood back to back and looked around. Although this method was very stupid, it was still somewhat useful. At the very least, the moment the enemy appeared, they would be able to stand out. However, they seemed to have overlooked one point. Lu Changtian's strength had far surpassed theirs. Although this method was useful, it was useless in front of absolute speed. Seeing the 4 people like this, Lu Changtian's face was still calm and composed. His expression was filled with killing intent. Is it useful? After muttering to himself, his figure flashed again. This time, his target was still the martial king. His figure flashed quickly, and he used the butterfly steps. His entire body seemed to be floating in the air and dancing gracefully. His movements were graceful and untraceable. The moment you stood out, your end was already decided. This is the price. Karma is reincarnation. Since you have planted the seed, you must bear the consequences that you cannot bear. The quiet air was filled with Lu Changtian's voice. It was sometimes far and sometimes near. It seemed to be near everyone's ears and sometimes far away. Facing the strength that Lu Changtian displayed, the 4 people were completely flustered. Their minds were tense, and they did not dare to blink. It was as if they were afraid that they would not be able to wake up in the next moment. Tendo, who will be spared by the heavens. This is your fate. The voice sounded in the martial king's ears. Suddenly, the man turned his head in shock. Lu Changtian's figure had appeared out of nowhere. That pair of ice-cold eyes was something that the man would never forget for the rest of his life, because they were too cold, without a trace of emotion. I was wrong, The man wanted to beg for mercy, but as soon as the words left his mouth, his voice stopped. It wasn't that he didn't want to beg for mercy, but that he couldn't open his mouth. A pair of hands were strangling his neck like a pair of pliers, making him unable to break free even if he wanted to. Die. The 4 of them were back to back, but in the next moment, the remaining 3 felt that something was missing from their backs. They turned their heads and saw that one of their brothers had disappeared. How is this possible? Sensing that something was amiss, he looked around and saw Lu Changtian's silhouette appear in the distance. The person in his hand was none other than their 4th brother. Narrowing their eyes, one of the men looked flustered. He quickly left the group and walked towards Lu Changtian. Sir, please let go of my 4th brother. Today's matter is my fault. If I had known that you had such strength, I wouldn't have dared to disrespect you even if I had the guts. Plop. As he spoke, the man arrived in front of Lu Changtian. To everyone's surprise, he slid down and knelt on the ground with a pleading expression. 3rd brother. Seeing their 3rd brother acting like this, the expressions of the other 2 changed. They seemed to have thought of this situation. Among the 6 of them, their 3rd brother's relationship with their 4th brother was the best. Their 3rd brother was even willing to exchange his life for their 4th brother. Now that old 4th had been captured, the rest of the people naturally thought of his actions. But in this situation, without his existence, they would be at a disadvantage. Of course, they didn't have a perfect advantage in the first place. 1st brother, 2nd brother, I'm sorry. I can't watch C die in front of me. You should know that C and I had a hard time surviving. The man who was called 3rd brother had no other choice but to apologize to his 2 brothers behind him. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of kowtowing resounded in everyone's ears. Lu Changtian naturally saw it. As for C, who was being carried by Lu Changtian, he was crying silently. His tears fell like rain. Third brother, 4th brother, don't worry. Even if you really die today, don't be afraid. Walk slowly on the road to the Yellow Springs. Wait for me. I won't let you be alone. This is your 3rd brother's promise to you. It was a very touching scene. It had to be said that Lu Changtian was also touched. Looking at the 2, Lu Changtian almost wanted to let them go for a few moments. But when he thought of his previous actions and Huiyun, his sympathy disappeared instantly. Karma is the cycle of reincarnation. It's the law of the heavens. It can't be changed. So accept your fate. Let them go. Just as Lu Changtian was about to kill the 2 of them, a weak voice sounded from behind him. Grandmaster, you... Lu Chantian turned his head to look at Huiyun. He was stunned. Huiyun's decision made Lu Chantian a little confused. Let them go. Although their previous actions were a little unforgivable, but I was moved by their previous sentiments. However, you can avoid the death penalty, but you can't escape punishment. Although you don't need to say anything, you must join the Lin family and serve the Lin family for 100 years. After 100 years, you will be returned. Are you willing to do that? Lu Chantian. Regarding Huiyun's decision, Lu Chantian was speechless. After all, this was what she meant. However, after thinking about it, he understood. After all, the Lin family was too weak right now, and he couldn't always be around. Although the Sword Sect had merged, the Sword Sect was too weak. Compared to martial kings and martial emperors, the Sword Sect? Heh. Ants, after thinking it through, he turned his head to look at the two of them. His originally cold expression softened a little. How about it? This method is only beneficial to the two of you. If you agree, nod and swear the Tendo blood oath. If you don't, agree, we agree. Without waiting for Lu Chantian to finish speaking, the two of them nodded repeatedly. Their faces were full of joy. This was the best result. Amen. Good. This sovereign will believe you this once. You should understand that if you dare to lie to me, I will chase you to the ends of the earth. Believe me, I don't think of myself as a good person. If you dare to go against today's decision and betray the Lin family, not only you, but even your family and friends will be hunted down by the Lin family. From then on, there will be no more days of peace. Chapter 1083. Looking at Lu Changtian's cold eyes, they understood that if the two of them really betrayed the Lin family, the end result might be like what Lu Changtian said. Their family and friends would be hunted down endlessly, and there would be no more days of peace. After understanding, the two of them raised their heads and said to the sky without hesitation, I, Yun Mingtian and Wu Qingbing, swear the blood oath of Tendo again. From now on, I will join the Lin family and be the servant of the Lin family. I will not have the slightest disloyalty. If I violate this oath, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Boom! As soon as the two of them finished their oath, Tendo seemed to have sensed it. The originally clear sky was suddenly filled with rolling thunderclouds. This phenomenon only happened for a moment, and only the two of them could hear it. The others didn't know. Ruo Lin and Lei definitely understood that Tendo had acknowledged their oath. Furthermore, Tendo would monitor the two of them at any time for no other reason than Lin Rei's existence. As for Lin Rei, Tendo was very nervous. Lin Rei's cultivation made even the Tendo in the heavenly fate realm afraid. Even though Lin Rei's cultivation was less than 1/10 of his original, just a strand of Saint's intent was enough to make him kneel on the ground. It wasn't because of his strength, but because of the pressure. If Ruo Lin and Lei's original body were here, the entire heavenly fate realm would probably collapse in an instant. There was no other reason other than Lin Rei's original body was too powerful. He was so powerful that this world couldn't withstand the appearance of Lin Rei's original body. Seeing that the two of them had finished their oath, Lu Chantian didn't continue to pursue the matter. He let go of Wu Qingbing and let him fall to the ground. He was grimacing in pain. Seeing that Wu Qingbing was out of danger, Yin Mingtian stood up and went to his side to check if he was injured. It's okay. He's fine. He's just frightened. He'll be fine after some time. Seeing Yun Mingtian's concern, Lu Chantian snorted coldly. Yes, I understand. Murmuring, he helped see up and retreated to the side. Protect them well. After I'm done with them, we'll leave this place. He had caused such a big commotion here and even killed people from the Lu clan. If he was alone, he wouldn't be afraid even if people came. However, Huiyun was with him. He couldn't bear the consequences. Oh, the two of them answered and came to Huiyun's side. Like the left and right protectors, they protected Huiyun. As for Long Ming, after taking the elixir given by Lu Changtian, his injury was not serious. Although the place where he was injured before was still aching faintly, It was much better than before. After regaining the ability to move, without waiting for Lu Changtian to say anything, he automatically went to Hui Yun's side to protect her. Seeing the three of them like this, Lu Changtian felt a little relieved. He looked away and turned his head to look at the remaining two martial emperors. Although he had let Yin Mengtian and Wu Chengbing go, it did not mean that the two in front of him were safe. Before, because of Hui Yun, no one could stop him now. Lu Changtian's only thought now was to finish the battle quickly. He stretched out his hand and a suction force came. A long spear in the distance seemed to be summoned and flew to Lu Changtian's front. He grabbed it tightly. The originally terrifying aura that made people tremble doubled again. Accept your judgment. As a cultivator's battle technique, Lu Changtian could not use the full power of the battle technique, but he could still use the moves. The powerful transformation blurred everyone's vision. The moment the spear was used, the surrounding spiritual chi of heaven and earth surged with Lu Changtian's spear. Some powerful warriors could naturally feel the changes in the surroundings. However, they could only feel the surging of Yuanli. They could not sense the spiritual chi at all. It could even be said that they could not sense the existence of the spiritual chi. It could be said that they had never heard of the spiritual chi at all. The two of them had long regretted Lu Changtian's strength. If a warrior had fear in his heart, he had already lost. Dying, he used the butterfly steps, not to mention a lotus flower with each step. This dreamlike speed was something that they and even martial God could not comprehend. Two spears were waved. The simple and fierce spearhead appeared in front of the two before they could react. Not good. Retreat. PFFF. The leader had just finished speaking when he heard the sound of flesh being pierced. He quickly retreated and looked to the side. A long spear had already pierced that person's body. It went from the chest to the back. It was a perfect heart-piercing chill. If a warrior's heart was pierced by a spear, it meant that his life had come to an end. Plop. Looking at the dead body, Lu Changtian emotionlessly pulled out the long spear. The body was instantly thrown a few meters away by the force. He raised his head and looked at the remaining person. A smile flashed across his face. It's your turn. No, you're a demon. Looking at Lu Changtian's smile in his eyes, it did not look like a human smile. It was a demon, a death god. You did not speak anymore. At this moment, he left this hellish battlefield. He did not want to stay here for a second, a minute, or even a second. He turned around and ran as fast as he could. He did not want to stay here any longer. Looking at the man's fleeing figure, Lu Changtian sneered. His expression was full of contempt. Do you think you can escape? After saying that, he put the long spear behind his back and used the butterfly steps. Facing this kind of cowardly ruin, facing this kind of ant who had no intention of fighting, Lu Changtian felt that killing him would be an insult to himself. However, even if it was an insult, Lu Changtian had no choice but to kill him. This was because he had touched his own reverse scale and touched Lin Rei's reverse scale. Whoosh! PFFF, fast, ruthless, and accurate. Without any hesitation, the spear was a heavy weapon. The fleeing man's figure suddenly froze in place. His eyes widened in disbelief and regret. He lowered his head and looked at the tip of the spear that came out of his back. Other than regret, there was only regret in his heart. Although the man looked young, he was actually 70 years old. Because of his cultivation, his age did not change much. It was not easy for a martial artist to reach the martial king realm. But now his 60 years of hard work had been destroyed because of his greedy decision today. PFFF. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale and his body became weak. If it was not for the power of the spear, he would have knelt on the ground. You brought this upon yourself. Lu Changtian's voice came from behind him. Isn't it good to be a martial king and enjoy the glory and wealth of the world? Why did you court death? He wanted to say something, but he couldn't. Lu Changtian was right. Why did he have to come out and seek death? Remember to be a good person in your next life. Remember, there are some people you can't afford to offend. PFFF. Lu Changtian pulled out his spear and ignored the man. He knew that if he was hit by the silent thunder spear, there would be no chance for him to survive. The silent thunder spear's destructive power was too great. Even the current Lu Changtian could only use this move. If Lin Rei used it, there would not be a complete corpse left. The battle ended just like that. And this move was destined to make Lu Changtian's name famous in the Destiny realm. Chapter 1084. After the massacre, Lu Changtian didn't stop. He walked over to Hui Yun's side and squatted down to check on Hui Yun's injuries. And not bad. Master's pill is truly miraculous. I didn't think that just one pill would be able to heal your injuries to about 70 to 80%. Lu Changtian was truly shocked by the medicinal power of the pill. Ray gave it to you. Hui Yun also heard that the pill she ate was given by her son. She felt an inexplicable warmth in her heart, and a smile flashed across her face. It was as beautiful as a peach blossom in full bloom. Lu Changtian nodded. Yes, but now is not the time to discuss this. The waters of Guangyun Empire are deeper than I thought. Therefore, for your safety, I have to send you to a safe place. Only then will I be able to focus on investigating the massacre of the Lin family. Long Ming agreed. Yes, madam. Let's hurry up and leave. If Senior Lu is alone, it might be fine. But if we stay here, at most will be a corpse or a flag for the enemy. We won't be of any use. Yes, yes. Although the other two didn't understand what Lu Changtian meant, they knew that whatever Lu Changtian said was right. They agreed without any conditions. Hui Yun was also a smart person. She naturally understood what Lu Changtian meant. She nodded. Since that's the case, let's hurry up and leave. She got up and prepared to leave. Long Ming naturally followed behind Hui Yun unconditionally. As for Long Yaoyong, he didn't have much to say to his father. Although Long Yaoyong doted on him a lot, this was all because Long Yaoyong owed his mother. Don't follow me. Long Ming seemed to understand Long Yaoyong's next move. He didn't wait for Long Yaoyong to make a move. But we're already home. Why don't you go back and take a look? He looked at his son with hesitation. He didn't know how to face Long Ming. Should he feel nostalgic? Owe him compensation? Perhaps both. He didn't look back, but the trembling of his body showed that he really wanted to go home. However, when he thought of the open and covert fights between his brothers and the family, he didn't want to go back. He was too tired. He didn't want to spend his life on those illusory things. It was meaningless. You can go back. As for that home, at this point, Long Ming stopped. His expression was extremely complicated. No one knew what he was thinking. As for that home, whenever I miss my mother, I will go back and take a look. After saying that, he didn't stay any longer and jogged all the way to catch up with Lu Changtian and the others who were already far away. As for Long Yaoyong, he stood there in a daze. Looking at his son's back, he couldn't help but feel sad. He's grown up. I hope he can learn what you didn't learn before there. Learn how to survive in this world and learn how to protect yourself. As for that home, Father will help you guard it. As for those people who are eyeing the position of the family head, it's time to clean them up. A cold light flashed in an instant. Long Ming didn't want to know about Long Yaoyong's thoughts. Of course, even if he knew, he wouldn't appreciate it. He knew his own ability. It was fine for him to establish a small family in a small city to manage, but for a city like Guangyun Empire to let him manage a huge monster, Long Ming, knew his own limits. Lu Changtian and the others left Guangyun Empire's capital with more than 30 subordinates. The news of Lu Changtian's display of invincibility and the death of the Lu family's young master, Lu Tianxiang, spread instantly. Some spies from other empires also spread the news to the other 3 empires and the various dynasties. In a luxurious courtyard in the eastern part of the capital, a middle-aged man was standing in front of a lake. His face was gloomy and his body was full of murderous intent. Beside the middle-aged man was an old man in black clothes. His expression was the complete opposite of the middle-aged man's. His face was as calm as still water, without the slightest ripple to speak of. It was as if the various states of the world had nothing to do with him, and even this world had nothing to do with him. Family head Lu, Hong Si, understand your intention in inviting me here today. I heard that the Liu family's young master, Liu Tianxiang, was killed. So don't hide it. 5 million black gold. That's a fixed price. If it works, I'll take it. If not, you can find someone else. But I believe that no one would dare to accept a person who can easily kill a martial emperor. Who knows if that person has the support of a powerful sect? What do you think? Am I right? The old man said to himself. He didn't notice that Lu Qingzhou's face was getting gloomier, but there was a trace of helplessness in his eyes. That's right. With such strength, there must be a sect behind him. So, the Liu family naturally couldn't take revenge next year. Although the Liu family was a first-class family in the Guanyin Empire, but in front of a sect, even a first-class family could only be destroyed. The old man behind him didn't feel the pain. He was born as an assassin and took orders to kill people. His cultivation was so terrifying that it made people tremble in fear. People gave him the nickname Human Demon. Because Hong Si was close to madness from killing people, he was like a killing machine, ignorant and unaware. None of the people who were targeted by Hong Si could escape. In the end, they would all return to reincarnation. Looking at Lu Qingzhou's silence, Hong Si frowned and asked again, "How about 5 million black gold? Do you agree? My time is very precious. If I delay any longer, I'll have to pay on time." Lu Qingzhou, the originally serious atmosphere changed instantly after Hong Si said that. If Lu Qingzhou hadn't held back, he would have burst out laughing. F***CK. All right, starting from this second, the fee will be 5 black gold per second. The old man said, F***CK, are you serious? Why don't you open a black shop? Finally, Lu Qingzhou spoke. I don't care. Anyway, I've already started charging from the last moment. If you don't want to pay more, then make a decision quickly. Do you think everyone is like you, sitting at home all day, doing nothing and ordering people around? Lu Qingzhou wanted to refute and say that he didn't, but when he thought of the charge, he didn't say much. Can we discuss this matter? 500 black gold is indeed. It's a fixed price. I'm also a small business. Besides, you have a big business. Do you lack this small amount of money? Lu Qingzhou didn't want to talk about Hong Si anymore. He was afraid that he couldn't help but rush up and beat him up. But when he thought of Hong Si's cultivation, he held back. If he really did fight, the final result would only be him getting injured. There was no doubt about it. It's a fixed price of 5 million black gold. Hong Si spoke again, and this time, Hong Si wasn't joking like before. Looking at the change in Hong Si, Lu Qingzhou was stunned and nodded helplessly. Okay, 5 million black gold it is, but the premise is that I must see the head of the bastard who killed my son. Otherwise, this deal is off. Okay, deal. Chapter 1085. Since you've issued a mission and I've accepted it, you're my employer. From this moment onwards, I'll report my progress to you at any time within a month. It's been a month. If you want to kill your own people, you should know my rules. I only have a month. Regardless of whether I succeed or not, I won't continue to pursue you. You have to give me the last bit of money. Hearing this, Lu Qingzhou's expression changed, and anger rose from his heart. Don't look at me like that. This has always been my rule. Remember, you chose me, not me. Since you have chosen me, you have to abide by my rules. Otherwise, the freight for this business is cut, and you have to pay for my delay, Hong Si said bluntly. Others might be afraid of Lu Qingzhou's identity, but Hong Si was not afraid at all. Even if his daughter was the Emperor Lord's woman, so what? He did not believe that the Emperor Lord would make an enemy of a martial arts grandmaster expert for a woman. Obviously, for the leaders, this idea was not a wise move. Lu Qingzhou didn't say anything. He just stared at Hong Si with his eyes that were as big as a donkey's. Hong Si trembled under his gaze. For a long time, it was as if Lu Qingzhou's gaze could swallow Hong Si alive. All right, I'll take my leave now. Time is precious, and I don't want to waste any more time here. Bastard. Looking at Hong Si, Lu Qingzhou was stunned. The corner of his mouth twitched, and his expression was very rich. He had seen shameless people before, but it was the first time in his life to see someone as shameless as Hong Si. He cursed in his heart, but his face showed a smile. He said, "Okay, you go. I will wait for your good news." Lu Changtian, who was thousands of miles away, did not know that Lu Qingzhou had issued a hunting mission and that the other party's cultivation was a martial arts grandmaster expert. However, it was understandable. The hatred of killing one's son was irreconcilable. Anyone would be like this. If it was Lin Rei, it seemed that Lin Rei was even more terrifying than Lu Qingzhou. After all, they had already tried it before. Jinan's death had driven Lin Rei crazy. Those who were related to Jinan's death were all annihilated by Lin Rei. Guanyin Empire's next B-class city. Lin Rei and Blood Spirit Sky traveled day and night without rest. After a few days, they finally arrived at a place not far from the place where he had the energy method last time. Along the way, Lin Rei walked and stopped, feeling the places where his aura had once erupted. Although it was a bit fuzzy now, Lin Rei could still feel it. At the city gates of Luo City, Xueling Tian stopped when he saw the city. He was no longer in a hurry like Lin Rei. Blood Spirit Sky's actions caught Lin Rei's attention. He frowned slightly and turned to look at Blood Spirit Sky. When he saw Blood Spirit Sky stop, his expression froze. He asked, "What are you doing?" "Big brother, let's rest for a while. We haven't eaten anything in the past few days. Even if you want to get there quickly, you have to be careful. Even if you get there now, if you don't have a good spirit, do you think you have any confidence in dealing with those people? We're already in the territory of the Guanyin Empire. If we go any further, we'll reach the capital of the Guanyin Empire. I've heard that there are martial gods there." As he spoke, a strange light flashed through the sky. Guanyin Empire? Listening to Blood Spirit Sky's introduction, Lin Rei wasn't very clear. During this time, he had been worried about his mother's safety and hadn't paid attention to his surroundings at all. "That's right. Martial God is very strong. Why don't you rest for a while and tidy up before we move?" Lin Rei's eyes stared straight at Blood Spirit Sky. Although he said that, he had long wanted to stop and pay attention. After all, there were 2 children on his back. Even if he didn't eat, the 2 children wouldn't eat. During this time, other than eating some jerky, the 2 children didn't eat a single bite when it was hot. For a growing body, this process was very cruel. Blood Spirit Sky and Lin Rei looked at each other. Lin Rei understood Blood Spirit Sky's thoughts, but when he thought about how his mother might be in danger, he couldn't help it. "Forget it. Let's rest first." He looked at the 2 children and finally made a decision. "Yes, I've decided long ago." Hearing Lin Rei's decision, his voice was filled with joy. "Let's go." Rolling his eyes at Blood Spirit Sky, he walked towards Luo City. In Luo City, Blood Spirit Sky was forced to turn into a small snake again. Lin Rei stayed in his arms, while Min Rongrong and Min Tianyu followed beside Lin Rei, taking small steps. After this period of training for the two of them had already gone out and entered the martial disciple realm. Of course, the cultivation method was different, and the realm was naturally different. Min Rongrong cultivated the cultivation method, and Lin Rei used his own strength to help Rongrong open up a few meridians. To be honest, Rongrong should be considered a cultivator now. If it was like Lu Changtian, who was originally a martial artist of this world, then if he wanted to become a cultivator, he would have to cultivate to the martial god realm. However, Rongrong was different. She was not a martial artist, so she cultivated the cultivation method from the beginning. As for Min Tianyu, what Lin Rei gave him was a cultivation method that could only be cultivated by martial artists in this world. Although it was self-created, he believed that even if it was self-created, it was still much stronger than any cultivation method in this world. Min Tianyu, on the other hand, was quite hardworking. Not only did he enter the martial disciple realm in a short period of time, he even broke through to the 3rd level of the martial disciple realm. Min Tianyu's efforts were all seen by Lin Rei. Looking at the two of them, Lin Rei nodded, "Order whatever you want to eat in a while. After this meal, we shouldn't be able to eat these for a while." When the two of them heard this, they raised their heads and looked at Lin Ray with sincere expressions. It's fine. With Master, Rome is not afraid. Me too, sir. That's good. Lin Ray was quite satisfied with their response. CK, why didn't you ask me? In his arms, Blood Spirit Sky said unhappily. Scram, you think you can mistreat yourself? Lin Ray didn't know about others, but if Blood Spirit Sky brought him along, then this world was probably abnormal. He choked on his words and finally gave up helplessly. He obediently shut his mouth. He didn't want to offend Lin Ray right now. Otherwise, the consequences would be very serious. Blood Spirit Sky asked himself that he still couldn't bear Lin Ray's anger. In the restaurant, Lin Ray brought the two children and sat down. He handed the menu to the two of them and let them order. When Blood Spirit Sky saw Lin Ray handing the menu to the two children, his figure turned into a red light and disappeared from Lin Ray's arms. Arriving in front of the two of them, his gaze fell on the menu, and he kept pointing at what Min Tianyu wanted to eat. Blood Spirit Sky's actions completely fell into Lin Ray's eyes. In this regard, Lin Ray helplessly shook his head and ignored Blood Spirit Sky. Chapter 1086. Lin Ray and the others quickly finished their meal. Originally, the Blood Spirit Sky wanted to stay here for one more night, but Lin Ray naturally refused. When he thought that his mother might be in danger, he couldn't bear it any longer. Because of this, Lin Ray kept threatening the Blood Spirit Sky with its song dragon. As soon as the song dragon appeared, the Blood Spirit Sky's arrogance was instantly extinguished by Lin Ray. Just like that, Lin Ray and the others once again set foot on their journey. This time, Lin Ray was even faster and even used the dragon's subduing step. However, using the dragon's subduing step at his current realm consumed too much energy, but Lin Ray couldn't care less. Huiyin naturally didn't know what Lin Ray was doing. She also didn't know that her son was rushing to the place where she had an accident. At this moment, Lu Changtian brought Huiyin and the others to a mountain range. The safest place was in the mountain range, especially where Lu Changtian was now. This place was located at the bottom of a valley. Behind them was a cliff, and there was only one path in front of them. If a powerhouse chased after them, they wouldn't be able to reach this place unless they could fly. The Blue Cloud Mountain Range was the most famous mountain range in the Guangyun Kingdom. It was also a training ground for some sections. Here, there were demonic beasts and criminals who committed serious crimes. It could be said that this was a training ground specially opened by the Sect for their disciples. Although it was full of danger, the scenery of the Tsang Cloud Mountain Range was undeniable. If it were on planet Aqua Blue, it would probably be no match for a 5A scenic spot. There were mountains, rivers, and forests. These were all standard features. Most importantly, Lu Changtian felt a suffocating aura here. He believed that with this aura, breaking through to the martial god realm wouldn't be a dream. Entering the martial god realm would instantly transform into the nascent soul realm and condense a nascent soul. However, very quickly, this thought was forcefully suppressed by Lu Changtian. It was not because of anything else, but because of the aura he felt earlier. He vaguely felt that Lin Ray would come soon. Therefore, he forcefully suppressed his desire to cultivate here. He wanted to return to the capital of Guanyu Nation, not only to wait for Lin Ray's arrival, but also to investigate why the Long family and the sect behind him wanted to make a move against the Lin family. What was even stranger was that he did not believe that the emperor of the Guanyin Empire was unaware of the sect's influence. Either that, or the empire was behind this matter. Although it was only a guess, the possibility was very high. Lu Changtian's eyes flashed as he looked at the flashes behind him. Then, he walked toward the other one. After entering the cave, there wasn't the slightest bit of darkness inside. Instead, it was bright, and it wasn't as damp and cold as he had imagined. On the contrary, it was warm and comfortable. At the top of the cave, there were 3 luminous pearls the size of a fist. This kind of treasure could be said to be hard to find even with money. Of course, this was only an ordinary item and was useless to cultivators. Below the luminous pearls, Long Ming sat cross-legged, circulating his cultivation technique to heal the injuries he had suffered. Hearing light footsteps, Long Ming frowned, but soon relaxed. Previously, he had warned not to disturb him if there was nothing important, so naturally, his subordinates could not come in. Therefore, it was not difficult to guess. He stopped cultivating and opened his tightly closed eyes. The first thing he saw was Lu Changtian. As expected, he thought to himself, then a smile appeared on his face. He got up and walked towards Lu Changtian, saying, "What's the matter?" He went straight to the point without any nonsense. He knew Lu Changtian's character. Usually, unless there was something important, he would not look for him. "I have to leave for a while. During this time, you guys stay here. With a martial emperor in charge, there shouldn't be any problems. It's been hard on you during this time. Take advantage of this time to heal your injuries. Perhaps your opportunity will come soon. As for what opportunity it is, it's not convenient to talk about it now. You will know when the time comes." Looking at Lu Changtian, Long Ming was stunned. Then, he came back to his senses and asked, "You're leaving? When? How long will you be gone for?" A series of questions, but Huazhong did not ask about the opportunity at all. Lu Changtian was really stunned by this. However, this question did not make Lu Changtian stunned for long. "I'm going to the capital to wait for someone. Also, there are some things that I haven't figured out yet. I need to figure them out. You also understand that bringing you along will only be—" At this point, Lu Changtian fell silent. As for what he did not say, he believed that a smart person would know. "I understand." Long Ming nodded. Even if Lu Changtian did not say so, he would not go with him. He knew that he was not strong enough. Just like the previous incident, to put it bluntly, the document issue was caused by him. If it were not for his lack of strength, he would not have bothered with the previous incident. In that case, I'll have to trouble you to take care of Master's grandmother. As for food, if you encounter any powerful demonic beasts, you can let them do it." In the end, Lu Changtian reminded him twice before leaving. As for Long Ming, when Lu Changtian walked to the entrance of the cave, he could not help but ask, "Help me take a look at the Long family. I heard that because of the existence of the Lu family, the Long family has not been doing well during this period of time. If possible, please take care of them." Regarding this request, Lu Changtian nodded. In any case, after returning, he planned to make a trip to the Long family. If possible, he did not mind eliminating the threat of the Long family. Nodding his head in response, he used the butterfly steps and disappeared into the valley. Lu Changtian, who was far away from the valley, did not know that just as he left, in another flash, Huiyun, who was in the midst of recovering, opened her tightly closed eyes. Her face was full of sighs. She lightly opened her red lips and sighed. "It seems that I still have to increase my strength. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to deal with the previous situation." Thinking of what happened before, if it wasn't for the appearance of her son's troublesome figure and the appearance of Lu Changtian in the end, she was afraid that she would have already reunited with her husband. Thinking about it, Huiyun felt a lingering fear. Of course, she was not afraid of death. But when she thought about her husband who had been missing for many years, her son who had not yet married and had not yet become a grandmother, she was filled with the desire to live. Become stronger. At this moment, Huiyun only had this thought because only by becoming stronger could these things be realized one by one. Forget it. I should recover from my injuries first. As for the actual improvement, thinking about her age, even if she improved, it wouldn't be much better. She couldn't help but feel disappointed. The more she thought about it, the more irritated she became. In the end, she chose to throw her worries to the back of her mind and close her eyes to recover. At this time, she recovered well. Although the pills she had eaten before had melted, a large portion of the medicinal strength had not been refined and was stored in various parts of her body. The cave fell silent. Chapter 1087. In the capital of Guangyun Empire, Lu Changtian had returned. This was something that no one had expected. After all, He had caused such a big commotion in the empire and even killed Lu Qingzhou's son. No matter what, it was a disgrace to the empire. Now that Lu Changtian had returned to the capital, his mentality had changed completely. He felt much more relaxed. Perhaps it was because Hui Yun and Long Ming were no longer with him. The burden on his shoulders was much lighter. After entering the city, Lu Changtian did not stop at all. He asked passers-by for the location of the Long family and used the butterfly steps. His figure disappeared in an instant. No one knew about it. In the courtyard of the Long family was lifeless at this moment. There was no prosperous atmosphere of a big family at all. Even the guards of the Long family were leaning on the doorframe and chatting with passers-by. The passers-by had long been accustomed to this situation. Everyone knew in their hearts that the Long family had been in this state for a long time. From the moment the daughter of the Lu family became the imperial lord's woman, the Lu family began to attack the Long family in all aspects, especially the Long family's warriors. Every Long family warrior who went out was bound to be seriously injured or dead when they returned. The Long family wanted to fight back, but when they thought of the powerful existence of the imperial lord, the Long family finally chose to swallow their anger. After all, a family that watched a woman become stronger was not long-term. The Long family was waiting. They were waiting for the woman to lose. That would be the time for the Long family to fight back. However, 2 years had passed. 2 years was not a long time, but it was also not a short time. The Long family, who had originally swallowed their anger, had completely lost the will to fight back. They originally thought that their opportunity would come when the woman lost. But now that 2 years had passed, the woman's momentum was getting better and better. This made the Long family not know what to do for a while. Lu Changtian came to the front of the Long family's gate and saw the guards chatting with passers-by. This strange scene stunned Lu Changtian. F***, did I come to the wrong place? When this scene appeared, Lu Changtian subconsciously thought that he had come to the wrong place. However, when he looked up and saw the 2 words Long family on the plaque, he denied his previous thoughts. But this Long family in front of him was a little different from what Long Ming said. He thought about it for a moment, but he was still unable to make sense of it. Thus, he turned around and caught sight of a passerby. With a smile plastered on his face, he stepped forward and stopped Zhang Xian. Brother, what's the matter? The passerby stopped and looked at Lu Changtian. Isn't this Long family a big family in the capital? But why are the guards? Shoo! Before Lu Changtian could finish speaking, the passerby gestured for him to keep quiet. He looked around and then slowly said, "You must be an outsider." Lu Changtian nodded in response. As expected. The passerby had an as expected expression on his face. Then he spoke again. "The Long family that you're talking about is from 2 to 3 years ago. They're not happy now. Although the Long family is still eyeing the title of a big family, they have been suppressed by the Lu family for the past 2 years. If it weren't for the fact that the Long family has a strong foundation, they would have disappeared from the capital long ago." Lu family. Hearing the passerby's words, he thought back to what Long Ming had said about the Lu clan. He nodded in understanding. "All right, thank you." At this moment, Lu Changtian understood. After all, he was once a city lord. He still had the ability to do so. Seeing the current situation of the Long family, Lu Changtian let out a long sigh. "Forget it, I'll just help the Long family." With that, he walked towards the Long family openly. Of course, no one in the Long family could stop him. "What are you doing?" Just as Lu Changtian was about to enter the Lin family, the guard who was chatting with the passerby turned around and instantly appeared in front of Lu Changtian. He instantly drew his sword and placed it in front of Lu Changtian, blocking his path. "Is the Long family's residence a place where you can enter as you wish?" The guard spoke again. At this moment, the guard's appearance and aura were completely different from before. Interesting. The guard's change was too great. How could a person who chose to be dispirited have such a huge change in aura in an instant? Unless these people had received orders to put on an act. Lu Changtian did not speak and just stood there. He slightly frowned and said, "I said, are you deaf?" I asked you, who are you and why have you come to my Long family's residence? Perhaps because his voice was a bit loud, it attracted the attention of the passers-by. At this moment, Lu Chantian finally spoke. I'm looking for Long Yaoyang. Little brother, can I trouble you to lead the way? Long Yaoyang? Hearing Lu Chantian say where he came from, the guard felt that this name was quite familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had heard it before. Long Yaoyang. Long Yaoyang is as if he had thought of something. His expression greatly changed, and he sucked in a mouthful of blood. He raised his head and glared at Lu Chantian, completely exploding with anger. Bastard, you don't have the right to know the name of the Long family's patriarch. Brat, if you continue to be so ignorant, you will die. Do you understand? To Lu Changtian's surprise, the man did not make a move and continued to persuade him. Rather than saying that it was persuasion, it was more appropriate to say that it was a verbal threat. Looking at the young man's performance, Lu Changtian had a different thought. If a guard could do this, then what about the entire Long family? I'm looking for Long Yaoyang. I'll have to trouble you to inform him. Of course, you should know Long Ming. He was the one who asked me to come. He said that I can only say it when I see Long Yaoyang. Young, Master Long? The guard was shocked again. His eyes widened as he looked at the man in front of him. He wanted to know who this person in front of him was. He actually knew two people that could not be offended in the Long family. And that's right. Lu Changtian did not deny it. Then please wait a moment. I'll go and report it. As for whether or not the patriarch wants to see you, then... The guard gave an apologetic look. It's fine. You just need to report it. I believe that Long Yaoyang will see me. Lu Changtian still had this bit of confidence. Of course, Lu Changtian originally planned to sneak into the Long family, but in the end, he refused. Since he had chosen to help the Long family, then this was a must. Previously, he had already revealed his strength. He believed that if he appeared in the Long family now, the other large families in the capital would soon know. At that time, one could imagine how those families would think of the Long family. As for what those large families would do after they believed him, Lu Changtian was too lazy to think about it. Lu Changtian's goal was to let those people come. It was better to deal with them all at once than one by one. Of course, more importantly, he wanted to use this matter to see the attitude of the Cloudwind Sect and the Empire. He believed that those large families in the Empire would more or less have the shadow of the Empire and the Sect behind them. Chapter 1088. In a master's room, Long Yaoyang was sitting in front of his desk with his eyes closed. No one knew what he was thinking about. Suddenly, he heard hurried footsteps. Long Yaoyang, who was originally calm, frowned. His face was filled with displeasure. Didn't I say not to disturb me if there's nothing important? Are you not going to listen to me anymore? Without waiting for the person outside to speak, Long Yaoyang released his cultivation. His voice was mixed with essence force as he rushed outside. Pff, the sound of someone vomiting blood came from outside the door. The person outside the door was none other than the guard of the Long residence. However, the guard wasn't in a good state. He was stunned, and his face was filled with bitterness. The corner of his mouth was scarlet red. Plop! Without hesitation, he knelt on the ground and said softly to the door, "Master, there's a man outside the door. He wants to see you." The door was silent for a while. The guard outside the door couldn't stop trembling. As a member of the Long family, he knew the master's temper very well. If he spoke, it would be fine, but if he didn't speak, then, "Looking for me?" Just as the man was extremely frightened, Long Yaoyang's voice came from the room and entered the guard's ears. Suddenly, his heart relaxed. Although he was still afraid, he said, "Yes, master." The person outside the door said that he knows you and young Master Long Ming. He also said that if he tells you that he knows young Master Long Ming, you will know who he is. You boom! The originally closed door instantly opened. Long Yaoyang's figure appeared beside the guard in an instant. Where did he come from? Without waiting for the guard to react, Long Yaoyang lifted him up from the ground and grabbed him tightly with both hands. He looked nervous. This was completely different from the calm and dignified master in the guard's mind. Seeing Long Yaoyang's current state, the guard couldn't help but be stunned. He quickly said, he's outside the door. Before he finished speaking, he felt his body relax. His vision blurred. The door appeared in his vision, but Long Yaoyang's figure disappeared. Seeing this scene, the man didn't know what to say. Although he didn't understand why the family head was so nervous, he faintly felt that the person outside the door wasn't simple. After coming back to his senses, he turned around and rushed out of the door. As a guard, his task of passing on the message had been completed. He had to return to his post, even though the Long family situation wasn't very good right now. The news of Lu Changtian going to the Long family's gate quickly spread to the ears of the big families in the capital. Although they didn't know why Lu Changtian went to the Long family, they had a bad premonition when they thought of Lu Changtian's strength and the fact that Long Ming was Lu Changtian's subordinate. Lu Changtian didn't know what the major families were thinking. Even if he did, he wouldn't go back because there was no need to. Lu Changtian sat leisurely in front of the Dragon Gate and looked at the passers-by. Hey, he's here. In his perception, Long Yaoyang's silhouette appeared and a smile appeared on his face. He looked over and saw Long Yaoyang walking out. Senior, seeing Lu Changtian's gaze, Long Yaoyang looked over. When he saw that it was really the person he was thinking of, he didn't notice that there were people around and went up to greet him respectfully. He saw Lu Changtian's battle just now. That strength and aura could definitely suppress the major families in the capital. Let's go in and talk. He stood up and ignored the crowd as he walked in front of Long Yaoyang into the Long mansion. As for Long Yaoyang, he didn't have any objections when he saw Lu Changtian walking in front of him. Moreover, the other party was strong and his son was his subordinate. He had to be respectful. Sighing in his heart, he followed behind Lu Changtian. Along the way, Long Yaoyang didn't even dare to breathe loudly. The moment Lin Rei and the others entered, the guard returned to his post and closed the door. In the courtyard, Lu Changtian looked at the scenery and smiled. Not bad. I didn't expect the Long family's decorations to be so rich. Just these corals alone should be considered priceless treasures. Eastern Sea? Yes, deep in the Eastern Sea. Long Yaoyang quickly replied. He was even more impressed with Lu Changtian. He was able to guess the origin of the corals with just one look. Lu Changtian didn't know what Long Yaoyang was thinking. If he knew, he would probably burst out laughing. Lu Changtian knew about the Eastern Sea, but he had never been there. As for the origin of the corals, he was just casually guessing. He didn't expect that he would be right. Of course, he didn't say much about this. He continued to wander aimlessly. Lu Changtian didn't say anything, but Long Yaoyang couldn't help but think about the injuries Long Ming suffered before he left. Senior, my son. Is my son okay? He stopped and turned to look at Long Yaoyang. He's okay. He's recovering now. It won't take long for him to be as good as new. If nothing goes wrong, his cultivation will improve. Thank you, Senior. Hearing that his son was fine and his cultivation would improve, Long Yaoyang was very excited. This was the best result. If he left Long Ming in the Long family, he wouldn't be able to improve his cultivation for the rest of his life. You don't have to thank me. Lu Changtian waved his hand. Since your son is my subordinate, I won't mistreat him. Furthermore, if his cultivation improves, it means that he will be able to protect the people I want to protect. Yes. Hearing this, Long Yaoyang nodded. However, he was still grateful to Lu Changtian. Although he had thought of snatching Lu Changtian away, he was still very grateful. He was afraid that the atmosphere would suddenly become quiet. The two of them didn't speak and the atmosphere would become awkward. Time passed slowly. Being stared at by Lu Changtian, Long Yaoyang couldn't take it anymore. This feeling was very uncomfortable, especially when he was stared at by someone as strong as Lu Changtian. Thinking about his previous actions, he felt a little guilty. Senior, I wonder why you're here this time. Long Yaoyang probed. You should know that Long Ming left for a mission, right? He went straight to the point. Hearing this, Long Yaoyang frowned. Indeed, when Long Ming left, he knew about the mission, but it had something to do with this. My master is from the Lin family. The woman who was with me before is my master's mother. This time, I'm here because the Lin family is being hunted down. Tell me what you know. I want to know why the Cloud Wind sect attacked the Lin family. Logically speaking, the Lin family wouldn't have offended the Cloud Wind sect in such a place. Looking at Lu Changtian, Long Yaoyang's face turned ugly. To be honest, he also wanted to know what happened. When he first received this mission, he also felt that it was strange. He sent people to investigate, but in the end, the people he sent out to investigate silently appeared in front of his house. Of course, when they were discovered, they were already cold corpses. Regarding this scene, he understood that it was a warning to him not to meddle in things that he couldn't handle. Ever since that incident, he stopped investigating. The strength of the other party had exceeded Long Yaoyang's expectations. He couldn't guarantee what would happen to the Long family if he continued investigating. Now, Lu Changtian's brazen words made Long Yaoyang hesitate. If he hadn't seen Lu Changtian fight, perhaps Long Yaoyang would have already killed him when he asked this question. But now, he had seen Lu Changtian's cultivation. He was a martial honor. He was at the same level as Feng Qiuzi, or even stronger than Feng Qiuzi. The Cloud Wind sect was too powerful. With the martial god in charge, Long Yaoyang was hesitant. Lu Changtian wasn't stupid. Lu Changtian saw Long Yaoyang's hesitation, and he also understood why Long Yaoyang was hesitating. After all, anyone would hesitate when faced with this kind of problem. If he hadn't become Lin Rei's disciple, he would have avoided this matter at all costs. I understand your concerns, but have you thought about it? Since I dared to investigate, I naturally have no worries. As for the martial god? If the martial god dares to make a move, I guarantee that he will die miserably. Making a move against the Lin family means making an enemy of my master. My master doesn't mind making a move against such people. At the same time, he will tell all the cultivators in the Destiny realm that no one can touch the Lin family. No matter who it is, the martial god is no exception. Long Yaoyang was speechless. He naturally wouldn't take these words seriously. After all, the other party was the martial god. Making a move? Do you think the martial god is a cabbage? Of course, Long Yaoyang naturally wouldn't express such thoughts. Although Lu Changtian was powerful, he still couldn't believe that his master, Lin Rei, could defeat the martial god. Just like what Lu Changtian said, Lin Rei would kill the chicken to warn the monkey. It's understandable that you don't believe it. After all, you are born in the Destiny realm, and your vision is naturally low. You don't know that there's another world outside the Destiny realm. The cultivators, there are people that the martial god can't compare to. Lu Changtian didn't hide the fact that Lin Rei wasn't from this world. Anyway, Lin Rei didn't mind. Destiny. There's another world outside the Destiny realm? Long Yaoyang was shocked. This was the first time he heard of this. He only knew that the martial god would ascend to the immortal realm, but he had never seen such a thing. In the history of the Destiny realm, there weren't many people who could successfully ascend. This isn't something you can know. You only need to know that the martial god may be untouchable in your eyes, but in my master's eyes, he is no different from an ant. Long Yaoyang was speechless. Speechlessness was the only thing Long Yaoyang wanted to express. However, even if Lu Changtian's master wasn't the martial god, he was at least a martial saint. Long Yaoyang didn't hesitate. After all, the Long family was in a difficult situation. If he didn't find a backer, the Long family would disappear from the empire soon. The Long family's 1,000-year legacy would be ruined in his hands. This was something he couldn't allow. Long Yaoyang raised his head and looked at Lu Changtian. His hesitant eyes became firmer. Can I trust you? Perhaps influenced by Long Yaoyang's serious expression, Lu Changtian's face became serious. He nodded and said, "Trust me. Otherwise, your son wouldn't have recognized me as his master. You should know your own son's personality. I don't need to tell you this. If it wasn't for my lack of ability, do you think I would have made it this far? If it wasn't for my lack of ability, do you think the Guanyin Empire would be so quiet after I caused such a huge commotion in their capital?" Lu Changtian was speaking the truth. Although he didn't understand why the Empire was so quiet, it should have something to do with Lin Ray. Although he didn't mean it, it was true that he understood how powerful the Empire was. Now that the Empire didn't seem to have any intention of making a move, this was what made him suspicious. Tell me what you know, and I'll protect your Long family. How about it? I'm not afraid to tell you that I originally didn't want to protect the Long family. It was Long Ming who begged me to help the Long family. Otherwise, do you think I would be wasting my breath with you? Lu Changtian didn't care at all. Without a doubt, with Lu Changtian's cultivation, as long as he used the Long family as a threat, would Long Yaoyang dare not speak? Long Yaoyang wanted to refute, but this was the truth. If Lu Changtian insisted, he could only compromise. Thinking about this, Long Yaoyang let out a long sigh. His face was filled with helplessness as he said, "All right." Lu Changtian's expression became serious. He found a clean place to sit down and listen quietly. Actually, I've heard about this as well. I heard that the Lin family used to be a very powerful family. Their strength surpassed everyone else, and even the four great empires weren't a match for them. Perhaps it was because they were afraid of the Lin clan's strength, but for some reason, an expert led the four great empires and the various great clans and sects to attack. In the name of the demonic Tao, the Lin clan was destroyed. I thought that the Lin family had been destroyed, but for some reason, the Cloudwind sect received news that the Lin family wasn't completely destroyed. Although the current Lin family. Speaking to there, Long Yaoyang paused and glanced at Lu Changtian, but he didn't see any expression on Lu Changtian's face. He continued, although the current Lin family is like an arrow at the end of its flight and can even be said to be an ant-like existence, the Lin family's strength in the past has caused them to feel fear in their hearts. Even though the current Lin family is nothing to fear, they won't allow such a thing to happen. As the old saying goes, if you don't remove the roots when you cut the grass, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows. That's why this happened. At this moment, Lu Changtian fell silent. He didn't think that the Lin family would have such a thing. He was certain that even Lin Ray didn't know that his family was so powerful in the past. It was so powerful that it caused the entire Destiny realm to feel fear. So, the Empire has also made a move? Lu Changtian asked. There was no emotion in his voice. On the side, Long Yaoyang's body trembled. Although Lu Changtian didn't show any emotion, it was because of this that he was afraid. That should be the case. However, it seems that only the Cloudwind sect and the Guangyan Empire know about the Lin family. As for the other empires, even if they know, they probably won't do anything. After all, the current Lin family. Long Yaoyang's voice trailed off, and he didn't continue. Chapter 1089. Hearing this, Lu Changtian roughly understood the intentions of those sects. However, even so, it wasn't a reason for them to harm the Lin family. Martial God, sects, and empires all had martial God on the surface, but Lu Changtian didn't think that was true. After all, no one wanted to show their full strength. Thinking about martial God and his own cultivation, Lu Changtian frowned and hesitated. With his cultivation as a martial saint and the God realm techniques he learned from Lin Ray, he wasn't afraid of martial God Lu Changtian at all. However, martial God was at the nascent soul stage in the self-cultivation realm, so the difference between them was obvious. Moreover, martial God of Emperor Dynasty was at the late stage of martial God. His strength was even more different from that of a martial God at the early stage. Normally, martial God at the late stage could beat up 4 martial God at the early stage, while martial God could beat up martial saints. However, against Lu Changtian, who wasn't even a martial saint yet, Lu Changtian would definitely be beaten up. Senior, we have to think about this at length. After all, they all have martial God, Your cultivation is a bit not enough. Although he didn't dare to say this, it was the truth. Of course, in Long Yaoyang's eyes, it was indeed not enough. However, Lu Changtian was sure that if he became a martial God, it wouldn't be impossible for him to fight martial god. Even if there was a difference between them, if Lu Chantian wanted to leave, martial god wouldn't be able to stop him. After all, Lu Chantian's footwork was taught by Lin Rei. Although he had only reached the early stage of the butterfly steps, it wasn't something that the martial god of this world could compare to. Lu Chantian understood Long Yaoyang's meaning. Lu Chantian didn't have a chance, so he just smiled and didn't say anything else. Now that the whole story was clear, the next step was to prepare for the trial. It wasn't just the Cloud Wind sect. All of the large families in the capital had to be punished. Even the imperial family was no exception. Anyone who had acted against the Lin family, regardless of whether they had intended it or not, deserved to be killed. Not for anything else, but to let the Lin family have peace and prevent the previous events from happening again. The Lin family had suffered great losses. They wouldn't recover in the next 20 to 30 years. Therefore, Lu Chantian had to make his move. At the very least, he had to kill them so that they wouldn't dare to do anything to the Lin family. After making his decision, he raised his head and looked at Long Yaoyang. Killing intent flashed through his eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. Perhaps it was because the two of them were so close that Long Yaoyang could feel the terror of Lu Changtian's killing intent. Long Yaoyang was very clear that this bastard was planning to kill them. What I mean is, give me the power, strength, name, and location of all the families in the capital. As for the imperial family, there was martial god in the imperial family, so Lu Changtian didn't dare to act rashly. At the very least, he had to make arrangements first before making his move. We'll talk about the imperial family after I've dealt with these families. Feng Qiuzi, find a reason to ask him out. As for the rest, just leave it to me. Anyone who has a grudge against the Lin clan must die. Who else? These words expressed the Lin clan's attitude, expressed Lin Li's attitude, and even more so, expressed his attitude. The Lin family wasn't something that ants like them could touch. Anyone who touched them would die. Seeing that Lu Changtian had made his decision, Long Yaoyang wanted to refuse, but for some reason, he nodded and agreed. Okay, I'll go back and take care of it. Tomorrow, at the latest, the things you want will appear in front of you. Okay. Seeing that Long Yaoyang didn't hesitate, Lu Changtian was still a bit confused. After all, this wasn't good for the Long family's future. Of course, this was under the condition that Lu Changtian really lost. If Lu Changtian really lost, or even died, then the Long family would be pushed to the center of the storm. They would undoubtedly become the target of everyone's attacks. However, there were pros and cons. If Lu Changtian really succeeded and wiped out all the major families in the capital, then the Long family would be the final beneficiary. To put it bluntly, if the imperial family was also wiped out by Lu Changtian, then wouldn't the Long family have the final say in the empire? As for Lu Changtian, he completely believed that Lu Changtian wasn't interested in the throne at all. To be honest, he didn't care about it at all. Thinking of this, Long Yaoyang couldn't help but laugh. Lu Changtian rolled his eyes at him. He understood what he was thinking, so he didn't stay any longer and turned to leave. As for his location, he believed that with the Long family's power, they would be able to find him without him telling them. Outside the Long family's residence, Long Yaoyang felt that he had solved a problem. What he needed to do now was to wait for the list of names to arrive so that he could start killing. On the street, Lu Changtian wasn't in a hurry to go to his residence. Instead, he walked on the street like an ordinary person. He looked left and right like a curious child. The smile on his face never faded. I didn't expect that there would be so many good things in the capital. There are even things from the depths of the Eastern Sea that I haven't seen before here. TSK. Just this pearl alone is probably more money than I can earn in my entire life as a city lord. Looking at the fist-sized pearl in front of him, he couldn't help but click his tongue. However, now that he was a revered martial artist, these things weren't worth much. If they were exchanged for money, then maybe he would take them away. After all, cultivation required money, cultivation methods, companions, and land. Money was the most important, so one could imagine how important money was. After looking for a while, Lu Chantian continued walking. At first, the quality of the things was very good, but as time passed, he didn't think that these things were good anymore. Standing in front of a clothing store, his body paused for a moment, then he continued walking. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, and a smile appeared on his face. 1,000 meters away from Lu Chantian, a man in black was looking at the roof, staring at Lu Chantian. However, the moment Lu Chantian paused, the old man's face changed, and he immediately hid, as if he was afraid that Lu Chantian would discover him. What's going on? Did he discover me? In the dark, when he thought of Lu Chantian pausing, he looked unsure. If Lu Qingzhou was here, he would definitely discover that this was the assassin he hired, Hong Si, who had the strength of a martial arts grandmaster. No, impossible. I'm so far away. Even a martial arts sage can't discover my existence. Hong Si seemed to be very confident in his concealment skill. Thinking of this, Hong Si breathed a sigh of relief, then got up and continued to follow. Little did he know that after Lu Chantian left Long Mansion, he vaguely felt that someone was following him. He thought it was an illusion, but when he was in front of the clothing store, Lu Chantian really found that someone was following him. The moment his body came to a stop, Lu Chantian sent out his senses. He was sure of Hong Si's existence. As for his cultivation base, he could tell at a glance. Interesting. A martial arts grandmaster assassin. Who could it be? Chapter 1090. Ignoring him, Lu Chantian continued to wander around. Since he wanted to follow him, Lu Chantian was not surprised. Since he had nothing to do now, he might as well take it as walking his dog. Just like that, Lu Chantian's first dog walk began. Along the way, Lu Chantian walked and stopped. He was like a foodie, eating all kinds of things. As long as he saw something delicious and fresh, he would eat nonstop. Of course, the most important thing was to see how patient the person behind him was. Of course, Lu Chantian would check if the person was still following him every time he stopped for a while. After all, it would be boring if the person did not follow him. But fortunately, that person's willpower was strong, and he didn't hesitate at all along the way. Lu Chantian admired his indomitable spirit. Along the way, Lu Chantian did not stay idle. He walked toward the East City Gate. Although he wanted to have some fun, he also wanted to ask who asked him to follow a martial arts grandmaster expert. Long Yaoyang? Obviously, it was impossible. Long Yaoyang knew his cultivation and would not send a low-level cultivator to kill him. As for a martial venerable expert, it was not that Lu Chantian looked down on him, but that the Long family did not have the ability to do so, unless they informed the Cloudwind Sect and asked them to help. But was that possible? Thinking about it, the only person he had offended in the capital recently was the Lu family. Thinking of this, Lu Chantian's expression flashed with a murderous intent. Thinking of the Lu family, he could not stop his murderous intent. The Lu family must have been part of the Lin family. Various thoughts appeared in his mind. Lu Chantian did not stop and soon arrived at the city gate. Behind him, Hong Si saw that Lu Chantian was about to leave the city and was stunned. He was a little confused. However, thinking of the 5 million black gold, these doubts disappeared. As the saying goes, money makes the world go round. An assassin like Hong Si had long been driven by money. After leaving the city, he used the butterfly steps and rushed forward quickly without any sense of direction. His purpose was to capture Hong Si. As for where to go, it was fine as long as there was no one around, and it was an empty space. If they were to fight in the city, it would probably cause quite a commotion. What's going on? Did they discover me? Upon seeing Lu Changtian's sudden appearance outside the city, Hong Si grew suspicious. Forget it, I don't care anymore. So what if his cultivation is strong? Could he be a martial saint? With this thought in mind, he increased his speed and rushed in the direction Lu Changtian had disappeared. At this moment, Long Yaoyang from the Long family didn't stop after Lu Changtian left. He used all the power that the Long family could muster to gather information on the various families in the capital. As a large family, who didn't have spies if they wanted to survive in this ruthless capital. Once the news was sent out, the spies hidden in the various big families started to search crazily. This time, Long Yaoyang didn't care if his spies were exposed. These spies were bought from a young age and trained. Long Yaoyang didn't care if they were exposed or died. Their existence was to gather information, so it was their duty to do so. As for what happened to Lu Chantian, Long Yaoyang had no idea. Even if he did, he wouldn't worry for Lu Chantian. A martial great master dared to mess around in front of a revered martial artist. Either he was crazy or he was an idiot, a pure idiot. At this moment, 100 miles away from the capital, Lu Chantian, who was running quickly, suddenly stopped and turned to look in the direction of Hong Si. The smile on his face was even brighter. "Old man, come out." In the dark, Hong Si, who had followed Lu Chantian here, immediately hid when he saw Lu Chantian stop. However, when he heard Lu Chantian's words, he was stunned but didn't go out. Lu Chantian was amused by Hong Si's action. "Damn it, you're martial arts grandmaster. Do you really think I'll lie to you? You think too highly of yourself." When he saw that Hong Si didn't come out, his smile became even brighter. "Oh, sure. In that case, I'll invite you out. However, it's very expensive for me to take action." Then, without waiting for Hong Si to speak, he rushed in the direction where Hong Si was hiding. He slowly increased his speed and rushed out quickly. In an instant, he was in front of Hong Si. The moment Lu Changtian's cultivation erupted, even a martial arts grandmaster wouldn't be able to detect Lu Changtian's figure. Otherwise, the butterfly steps would be useless. If Lin Rei was here and used the dragon's subduing step with his cultivation as a martial saint, Hong Si wouldn't even know how he died. Oh no! When Lu Changtian suddenly appeared, Hong Si's expression changed. Years of assassination experience drove him to turn around and escape. However, could he escape? Obviously, it was impossible. Before Hong Si could react, Lin Fan reached out and grabbed Hong Si's neck. He released his cultivation, and his origin energy rushed out and wrapped Hong Si in it. "Don't talk too much. It's very expensive for me to take action." Looking at Hong Si, Lu Changtian looked as if he expected better from Hong Si. Hong Si was shocked. He knew that Lu Changtian's cultivation was higher than his, but he didn't expect Lu Changtian's cultivation to be so high that he couldn't even fight back. "Stop talking. Tell me, who sent you here? Long Yaoyang? Or the Lu family?" Although he knew that Long Yaoyang wouldn't dare to do it, what if? Kill me if you want. I'll be your grandson if I blink my eyes." "Oh, you have quite a character." Hong Si's reaction really surprised Lu Changtian. However, he smiled casually and said, "Old man, you must be an assassin. Your concealment skill is very special. If my cultivation wasn't higher than yours, I'm afraid I would have fallen into your trap." Hong Si was speechless. "You don't want to talk, right?" Lu Changtian didn't think that he was a patient person. Seeing that Hong Si didn't speak, he wanted to be silent. So he raised his hand and punched Hong Si's chest. A punch landed on Hong Si's chest, causing his chest to cave in. "Oh, you didn't vomit blood?" Lu Changtian was more and more surprised. His fist wasn't soft, but it didn't make Hong Si vomit blood. This made Lu Changtian feel a little frustrated. "Well, you're strong and tough. In that case, then," before he finished speaking, he raised his hand and rushed toward Hong Si's arm. Boom, crack, the sound of bones breaking was heard. Hearing this sound, Lu Changtian felt a little better. F***CK, do you really think I'm a pushover? He wanted to break free, but his opponent's hand was like an iron clamp. He couldn't fight back at all. He didn't even know why he couldn't control the elemental energy in his body. It was as still as a pool of stagnant water. "Tell me, who sent you here? Tell me, and I'll let you go. I promise I won't do anything to you. How about it?" Chapter 1091. Lu Changtian was speechless. Hong Si's stubbornness made Lu Changtian's head hurt. He had seen people with guts, but he had never seen someone so gutsy. He didn't even scream when his bones were broken, although Lu Chantian didn't care about that. Old man, you forced me to do this. Lu Chantian had given up on making Hong Si talk. He raised his hand and hit Hong Si's other arm. Crack! The sound of bones breaking was heard. Hong Si's face was pale, and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. His body was trembling because of the pain, but he didn't even scream. Lu Chantian was stunned. Well, you're awesome. Without further ado, he broke Hong Si's limbs first. Anyway, Lu Chantian didn't expect Hong Si to talk. Crack, crack. Hong Si's limbs were broken, and he fainted because of the pain. Sometimes death is an extravagant hope. He reached his hand into his hair. When he pulled it out, there was a silver needle in his hand. As Lin Rei's apprentice, Lu Chantian had to learn the basic pharmacology. He had mastered all the acupoints in the body when he became a warrior. The Baihui acupoint was located at the intersection of the midline of the head and the tips of the ears. It was mainly used to treat headaches and other diseases. However, it had its advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes it could cure diseases, but it could also hurt people. The Baihui acupoint might not be a big deal for doctors. However, for those who didn't know the depth of the acupoint, if the silver needle was pierced too deeply, the pain would be unbearable for ordinary people. Stab. Lu Chantian didn't check the silver needle at all. He stabbed it into Hong Si's Baihui acupoint. He didn't stab it lightly on the scalp, but directly inserted the whole needle into the Baihui acupoint. Ah, Hong Si, who was in a coma, let out a scream. He looked up to the sky and howled. It looked tragic, but it was actually very tragic. Fresh blood gushed out from the Baihui acupoint and flowed down from his head along his face. With his drooping temperament, he looked as if half of his body was paralyzed. After the blood-curdling screams, he lowered his head and opened his eyes. His originally clear eyes were now blood red, and coupled with his current appearance, he looked extremely terrifying. Bang! A fist appeared and made contact with Hong Si. Of course, the sound of bones breaking was inevitable. Since Hong Si refused to speak, there was no point in keeping him alive. TSK. A martial ancestor realm expert has died just like that. His many years of cultivation and hard work have been wasted just like that. If I were you, I would have said something the first time you asked. Although reputation is important, don't forget, if you lose your life, what's the point of reputation? More importantly, even if you don't tell me, I can still come out. In the capital, I have only done one thing. I killed the son of the Lu family, Lu Tianxiang. If his father doesn't take revenge, I will look down on him. Unfortunately, he sent you a martial arts grandmaster here. What's even more unfortunate is that I happen to be a martial venerable, so... Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. I originally wanted to destroy the Lu family, so your death doesn't have much meaning. As soon as he said that, Hong Si, who was lying on the ground, glared at Lu Chantian. His expression was full of regret. He didn't expect that his persistence meant nothing to Lu Chantian. He also didn't expect the Lu family to be so deceitful. What happened to the martial arts grandmaster realm expert? What happened to not being strong? Damn it, everything was bullsh *T. Hong Si cried in his heart. Yes, he cried. He had failed, but this time it was not a failure, but a complete death. Thinking about what he had done in the past, a bitter smile appeared on his face. Forget it. If I die, then so be it. Anyway, I have lived for so long. It's enough. As he spoke, Hong Si seemed to have come to a realization. He closed his eyes and waited for death to come. Yo, you are ambitious. You don't even know how to beg for mercy. You give up just like that? Lu Chantian found it funny. It was the first time he met such a person. Lu Chantian's words reached the ears of the desperate Hong Si. He, who had thought that he would die, opened his eyes again and looked up. The moment he saw Lu Chantian's amused smile, Hong Si was stunned. *CK, big brother, what are you trying to do? Either give me a quick death or let me go. Why do you keep going back and forth? I'm going to be killed by your murderous aura and your bad taste. Big brother, I beg you kill me. To be honest, Hong Si couldn't stand this kind of repeated torture. If his previous killing methods were considered torture, then Lu Changtian's was simply beyond the scope of human beings. Even if the Grim Reaper came, he would be terrified to see Lu Changtian's torture. With a pleading look, Hong Si looked at Lu Changtian and spoke. However, blood kept flowing out of the corner of his mouth, so his words were a little unclear. Big brother, please kill me. Don't torture me anymore. I'm a killer. Usually, I'm the one who tortures others. If you do this, I will be scared. Tears mixed with blood flowed down from the corners of Hong Si's eyes. He looked very miserable. It was too horrible to look at. Lu Changtian was speechless. Hong Si opened his mouth, but his words were obviously asking for death. Damn it, am I so terrifying? Thinking about it, he came to Hong Si and squatted down to look at him. The smile never disappeared. Old man, although you didn't tell me who sent you, it made me very unhappy. I wanted to kill you, and I did. But just now, I thought of a very interesting thing. Hong Si was stunned. Lu Changtian didn't care about Hong Si and continued talking. Hong Si wanted to bang his head against the wall. Look, you're a Wu Zong. It's not easy for you to cultivate for so many years. If you work for me, I'll make sure you break through to Martial Venerable within a year. I'll make sure you break through within 10 years. And you don't have to die now. Tell me, isn't this a good idea? You won't kill me. For the first time, Hong Si was shocked. After recovering from the shock, he looked at Lu Changtian with a questioning look. Although he didn't have much contact with Lu Changtian, he knew Lu Changtian's character very well. He didn't think that Lu Changtian was kind to him, unless there was something valuable on him, such as cultivation. He looked up and looked at Lu Changtian with mixed feelings. He had to admit that Lu Changtian's conditions were very attractive. Even he couldn't resist. Tell me, what are your conditions? I don't think you'll be so kind. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.